Chapter 264. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Bei Zhongguang's Zhuguang Peak. As the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Bei Zhongguang was blessed with exceptional resources. The peak he resided on was also the largest area in the entire central district of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. The peak was filled with courtyards and groups of palaces. The number of disciples, attendants, and followers living on the peak numbered in the tens of thousands. From time to time, powerful auras of the azure underworld stage would appear. This was the source of Bei Zhongguang's confidence as the first vice sect leader. If such a force were to branch out from the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, it would be able to dominate a region no matter where it went. It could even become the ruler of a relatively small continent. At this moment, the elder of the distant fire hall, Zhuri, was respectfully bowing to Bei Zhongguang on Bei Zhongguang's Zhuguang Peak. His words were filled with gratitude. If it weren't for Sect Master Bei's rescue, I really don't know what would have happened to me if I had fallen into that kid's hands. Sect Master Bei's help is no less than a life-saving grace to me. From now on, if you have any orders, I, Zhuri, will be at your beck and call without hesitation. Cho Tsinghui relied on the authority given to him by Sect Master to act tyrannically in our Hunyuan Heaven Sect and persecuted our elders. He simply doesn't put the rules and regulations of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect in his eyes. Others are afraid of the power of the Life Alliance behind him and are unwilling to become enemies with him, but I, Bei Zhongguang, am not afraid. Not to mention, junior sister Yutong has interceded for you. From now on, you will stay on my Zhuguang Peak and don't need to pay attention to the orders of the Sea Calming Hull. I want to see if he has the guts to act presumptuously on my Zhuguang Peak. Bei Zhongguang's expression was indifferent, but there was an indescribable confidence in his words. Thank you Sect Master Bei, thank you Sect Master Bei. How great would it be if our Hunyuan Heaven Sect could be led by Sect Master Bei? Then, we wouldn't have to worry about using external forces to bully and humiliate us elders in the sect. Zhuri said with a face full of regret. When Bei Chonghua heard Zhuri's words, he stood up for him and said, Elder Zhuri, don't worry. This little thief is so presumptuous in our Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Many people in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect don't like him. Just like his Aunt Nalan Fei's Qinglan Peak Summit Assembly not long ago, almost no disciples in the sect congratulated her. From this, it can be seen that his actions in the sect have already angered the heavens. It won't be long before the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect will no longer have a place for him. What young Master Bei Chonghua said is true. Those who are headstrong and self-opinionated will eventually be caught in their own trap. Elder Zhuri hastily agreed. Bei Chongguan glanced at Elder Zhuri and then at Lan Yutong who was like a little bird beside Bei Chonghua. Zhuri, I heard that you have good alchemy skills. Right now, junior apprentice sister Yutong's cultivation is still weak. She urgently needs enough dawn to break through to the spirit refining realm as soon as possible, or even the spirit and chi unity realm. You will follow junior apprentice sister Yutong and help her refine dawn to assist her in her cultivation. Thank you, big brother. I believe that Elder Zhuri and Yutong will get along well. Erisher Yudo quickly stepped forward and bowed. Elder Zhuri looked at Erisher Yudo. Although he was actually under the control of his former disciple and had to listen to his orders, it was undoubtedly much better than being seconded to the Calming Sea Palace to work under Tsinghui. One was losing face, and the other was possibly losing his life. Zhuri naturally knew which was more important. Just as Bei Zhongguang accepted Zhuri and arranged for him to stay at his Zhuguang Peak, a disciple hurriedly reported from below, Sect Master, Great Elder Yuan Ju invites you to discuss something. Great Elder Yuan Ju. Bei Zhongguang was slightly startled, but then he nodded with a solemn expression, okay, I'll go over now. Although there were saint-level ancestors in Hunyuan Heaven Sect, they were usually in closed-door training and almost never showed up. They were the last guardian force of Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Unless there was an all-out war with the forces of the 10 great sacred sects, or the sect was in a life-and-death situation, they would not easily show up. Even Bei Zhongguang, as the first deputy sect master, had only seen the faces of a few ancestors and had never had any relationship with them. Since Bei Zhongguang couldn't reach the Grand Ancestors level, if he wanted to become the sect leader, he needed to rope in the various Grand Elders of the Grand Elder Council. Yuan Ju was one of the 3 great elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Great Elders Association who publicly supported him. Bei Zhongguang didn't dare to neglect this person who could determine whether he could sit on the sovereign's throne in the future. He immediately said to Zhuri, "You can stay on my Zhuguang Peak with peace of mind. As long as I'm here, Zhuo Qingshu won't dare to act presumptuously on my peak even if he has 1,000 guts. If he really dares to come, I'll make sure he won't be able to return. Therefore, you can rest easy as long as you don't run down the mountain. Yes, from now on, I will stay on the peak and refine pills day and night for Sect Master Bei. I will contribute my insignificant strength to the growth of Zhuguang Peak." Elder Zhuri said modestly, bowing his head extremely low. Bei Zhongguang nodded and followed the disciple, heading straight to Great Elder Yuan Ju's peak. "Did you see that? Although my brother hasn't won the sect master's throne, he is on good terms with several great elders of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Great Elders Association. Among them, Elder Yuan Ju is one of the great elders who publicly supports my brother. Do you know why the sect master hasn't announced that he will directly appoint Holy Son Jie Su as the next sect master after he broke through to the Qingming stage? It's because my brother has the strong support of the great elders behind him. Even the sect master has to consider whether or not appointing Jie Su as the future sect master before he has made any great contributions to the sect will cause my brother's dissatisfaction." Bei Zhonghua said proudly to Elder Zhuri as he watched Bei Zhongguang head to Elder Yuan Ju's peak. Yes, I understand. Even the sect master doesn't dare to easily touch sect master Bei. He has to consider sect master Bei's attitude when he acts, let alone Cho Tsing-hui, a mere deputy hall master. I won't have to worry about anything if I stay on sect master Bei's peak. That's right. Then, won't we all have to stay on Big Brother's Zhuguang Peak in the future? Erisher Yudo couldn't help but worry when she heard Bei Zhonghua's words. Don't worry, junior sister Yutong. Bei Zhonghua hurriedly comforted her. Cho Tsing-hui doesn't know what's good for him and dares to offend my brother. My brother will soon seize the opportunity to completely topple him. He won't be proud for long. Just wait and see. When Cho Tsing-hui is severely punished and even his cultivation base is crippled and expelled from the sect, it won't be difficult for you to personally deal with him and avenge the humiliation of the past. Erisher Yudo breathed a sigh of relief when she heard this, but she still wore a worried expression. I'm afraid this matter will bring trouble to Big Brother. Bei Zhonghua sneered. Trouble? What trouble can a little deputy hall master be considered? With my big brother's current status in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, apart from the Supreme Elders, Sect Master, Chosen Jie Su, and several ancestors, who else in the entire Hunyuan Heaven Sect can cause trouble for him? If he doesn't find trouble with others, others should thank Buddha. Cho Tsing-hui doesn't have the qualifications to become Big Brother's trouble. A smile finally appeared on Erisher Yuto's beautiful face. Then I'm relieved. At this moment, Bei Zhonghua, who claimed to be omnipotent and unafraid of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, was rushing to Elder Yuan Ju's mountain peak at the fastest speed. Apart from Chosen Jie Su, Sect Masters Wa Kunlun, the Grand Elders, and the First Deputy Sect Master, Bei Zhongguang. As a Supreme Elder of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, Elder Yuanjue's peak was even better than Bei Zhongguang's. Perhaps the number of buildings and palaces on his peak couldn't be compared to Bei Zhongguang's, but the experts hidden within were above Bei Zhongguang's. In particular, the spirit flowers and herbs planted on the peak, as well as the immortal birds and spirit beasts cultivated, were beyond the imagination of ordinary people. If these foundations were completely transformed into battle strength, it wouldn't be difficult to cultivate several Qingming stage experts in a short period of time. Bei Zhongguang was famous in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, and it was rumored that he had a prominent saint stage expert working for him. However, such a prominent saint stage expert was ultimately unpresentable. Moreover, prominent saint stage experts in the outside world couldn't be compared to prominent saint stage experts in a top sect like the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Bei Zhongguang could only rely on the several supreme elders of the Hunyuan Heaven sect Supreme Elder Council. Therefore, Bei Zhongguang, who was always calm and confident in the eyes of ordinary people, appeared to be very well-mannered and polite when he arrived at Supreme Elder Yuanjue's peak. Even the boy beside Elder Yuanjue was very polite. "Boy, may I know why Elder Yuanjue is looking for me? Please tell me so that I can make preparations." Bei Zhongguang followed behind the boy. He had already secretly handed over a piece of spirit crystal. A peerless spirit crystal was worth 1 to 200 ordinary spirit crystals. It wouldn't be difficult to buy a grade 5 divine weapon, but Bei Zhongguang had given it away so casually. It was clear that Bei Zhongguang was wealthy. Sect Master Bei is too polite. "I don't know about this matter, but the elder summoned you because he learned that you stopped Elder Zhuri, who was supposed to be on loan to the Sea Suppressing Hall, and even took him into Juguang Peak. Therefore, I believe that this matter should be related to Elder Zhuri, who was supposed to be on loan to the Sea Suppressing Hall." Sea Suppressing Hall. Elder Zhuri. Bei Zhongguang was slightly taken aback and became even more confused. There were hundreds of palaces of various sizes in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. In the small palaces, there were only 2 hall masters and 1 deputy hall master. In the large palaces, there were more than 10 deputy hall masters. As for elders, there were even more. With Grand Elder Yuanju's status, how could a mere vice hall master and an elder's matter attract his attention? "I don't know the details. The elder didn't mention it to me at all." Speaking of this, the boy seemed to have thought of something. "Oh, that's right. A day ago, the sect held a meeting of the Supreme Elders. Although not all of the Supreme Elders attended, there were 12 Supreme Elders, accounting for 70% of the total. After a preliminary discussion, the Supreme Elders passed a proposal that our Hunyuan Heaven sect may have a new Supreme Elder. I don't know if it has anything to do with this matter." "A new Grand Supreme Elder?" Bei Zhongguang was taken aback. This was no small matter. A Supreme Elder was a top figure who could influence the decision-making of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. In the case where the several ancestors did not intervene in the sect's affairs, the decisions made by the Supreme Elders were equivalent to the future development direction of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Even the selection of the next sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect was decided by the Supreme Elders. Could it be that Supreme Elder Yuanjue summoned me to curry favor with that Supreme Elder and ask for his support? It must be so. At present, even though Jie Su has broken through to the Green Hell realm, due to his arrogance, he is rather arrogant. So far, even though he has obtained the support of many Grand Elders, there are only 5 who have clearly expressed their support. If I can pull this newly promoted Grand Elder to support me, causing the number of Grand Elders supporting me to reach 4, I might not have no hope of competing with Jie Su. Thinking of this, Bei Zhongguang's heart suddenly burned with passion. The sect master's throne, which had been gradually drifting away because of Jie Su's sudden appearance, seemed to be getting closer to him. Chapter 265. Greetings, Elder Yuanju. In Elder Yuanju's study, Bei Zhongguang hurriedly stepped forward and respectfully bowed. "Zhongguang, you're finally here. I came to find you today because I have something important to tell you. A day ago, our Hunyuan Heaven sect held a meeting of the Supreme Elders. There were 12 Supreme Elders present, accounting for half of the total number of Supreme Elders. The decision we made was based on the sect's rules and regulations. During the meeting, we unanimously agreed to add a new member to our Supreme Elder Council and become the new Supreme Elder of our Hunyuan Heaven sect." Bei Zhongguang tactfully said, "Please rest assured, Elder Yuanju, I know what to do. Currently, Duan Su has yet to return, and the new Supreme Elder shouldn't have any interest with us. If we can take this opportunity to win him over, it will definitely give us a greater chance of ruling the Hunyuan Heaven sect in the future. Elder Yuan Ju glanced at Bei Chongguang and nodded with some relief. Very good, you didn't think so highly of me and wholeheartedly supported you. As the saying goes, those who achieve great things don't care about trifles. I originally thought that because of the special status of the new Supreme Elder and the fact that he has a small conflict with you, it would be embarrassing for you to go and win him over. However, it is commendable that you were able to see the pros and cons of this matter at the first moment. Your breadth of mind and boldness is far from what Duan Su can compare to. I believe that the next sect master of our Hunyuan Heaven sect will be none other than you. When Bei Zhongguang heard Elder Yuan Ju's words, he immediately felt that something was not quite right. The new Supreme Elder had a special status. He had a small conflict with him. For a moment, Bei Chongguang couldn't help but think hard. Elder, I wonder who the new Supreme Elder is? Currently, the top 10 Hall Masters of our Hunyuan Heaven sect have all reached the peak of the Qingming stage and have hopes of condensing a saint body and stepping into the Vision Domain stage. However, I have always tried my best to maintain a good relationship with these Hall Masters and have never formed any grudges with them. Sometimes, during festivals, I would even ask my subordinates to give them generous gifts to maintain friendly relations. Among these people, there shouldn't be any conflict with me, right? Hall Master. The person who was promoted to Grand Elder this time wasn't one of the top 10 Hall Masters of our Hunyuan Heaven sect, but a newly established Vice Hall Master. I believe you've heard of this Vice Hall Master before. He's the Alliance Master of the Life Moon Alliance, the overseas faction that recently surrendered to our Hunyuan Heaven sect, Cho Tsing Hui. Elder Yuan Ju said slowly. However, as soon as the words Cho Tsing Hui were mentioned, Bei Zhongguang, who was still thinking about how to gain the favor of the new Supreme Elder, suddenly cried out in shock, "What? The Vice Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Palace, Cho Tsing Hui." That's right. This newly promoted Grand Elder is the Vice Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Palace, Cho Tsing Hui. How is that possible? Didn't Cho Tsing Hui just join our Hunyuan Heaven sect? Even if he has the power of the Life Moon Alliance behind him, letting him become a Hall Master is already the limit. How could he be directly promoted to the Grand Elder Council and become a Grand Elder of our Hunyuan Heaven sect? Elder, could there be a mistake in this matter? Bei Zhongguang asked in disbelief, a trace of panic in his voice. Elder Yuan Ju was somewhat dissatisfied with Bei Zhongguang's questioning words. He snorted softly and said, "The 12 of us Grand Elders, including the sect master, spent half a day discussing in detail and decided to promote the former Vice Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Palace, Cho Tsing Hui, to the 19th Grand Elder of our Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elder Council. How could this be false? No, please forgive me, Elder. I didn't mean to doubt Elder's words. It's just that, Bei Zhongguang was somewhat at a loss. A mere Vice Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Palace, who had joined the Hunyuan Heaven sect for less than a month, was directly promoted to a Grand Elder of the Grand Elder Council. He simply couldn't react to such a huge and sudden change. This matter is absolutely true. I know that you and Hall Master Cho Tsing Hui, no, Elder Cho Tsing Hui had some small conflicts because of your good-for-nothing brother. You even secretly wanted to prevent Cho Tsing Hui from joining our Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elder Council, but when I learned of the reason why the sect master and the others allowed him to become a Grand Elder, after some consideration, I had no choice but to agree and express my approval. Otherwise, it would be equivalent to our Hunyuan Heaven sect cutting off our own arm. Therefore, Elder Cho Tsing Hui's entry into the Grand Elder Council is already set in stone, and no one can change it. We only need to wait for him to return to our Hunyuan Heaven sect in a day or two, and this matter will be completely announced to the world and all the sects in the Eastern Wasteland will know. As Elder Yuan Ju spoke, he solemnly stared at Bei Zhongguang. Zhongguang, as far as I know, you and Grand Elder Cho Tsing Hui only had some small conflicts, and it's nothing more than a loss of face. Now that Cho Tsing Hui has become a Grand Elder of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Grand Elder Council, even if you have the status of a Vice Sect Master, it's nothing for a disciple like you to apologize and give in to him. When you arrived, you also said that a new Grand Elder doesn't have any interest in the other Vice Sect Masters. If we can take this opportunity to rope him in, it will greatly increase our chances of ruling the Hunyuan Heaven Sect in the future. Therefore, this matter is not only related to your future, but also to whether the support I, Fa Dai, Yu Lang and the others will receive in the future. Do you understand? Seeing the solemn look on Elder Yuan Ju's face, Bei Zhongguang felt his heart tremble with fear. The reason why Elder Yuan Ju, Elder Fa Dai and Elder Yu Lang had spared no effort to support him and push him to the Sect Master's throne was because once he sat on the Sect Master's throne, the sect's resources would be slightly tilted towards the 3 Grand Elders in the future. So that they would have a chance to cultivate true Yuan and step into the Saint stage in the future. This point could be seen from the fact that there were 3 Vision Saint stage ancestors among the 8 Grand Elders who supported Zhuo Kunlun back then. If he were to offend a newly promoted Grand Supreme Elder just because of his so-called face, and forcefully push this Grand Supreme Elder, who originally had hopes of being pulled to his side, to the opposite side of him, the 3 Grand Elders would be extremely disappointed in him. Especially now that Jie Su had appeared out of nowhere, even if he was arrogant and unruly, he still could not hide his peerless appearance. At that time, the 3 Grand Elders would most likely abandon him and support Jie Su. Once the Grand Elders really did so, Jie Su would have the support of 8 or 9 Grand Elders, and the Sect Master's throne would no longer have any suspense. At that time, when Jie Su took the throne, what good would happen to him, the first Vice Sect Master who had once competed with him for the Sect Master's throne? All the benefits and power he had now, and those followers who believed in his future potential and were willing to follow him around would vanish like smoke. He, Bei Zhongguang, would also be beaten back to his original state, reduced to the level of a Hall Master at best. Elder, I. A trace of pain and hesitation flashed across Bei Zhongguang's face. He was about to say something, but before he could say anything, he was interrupted by Elder Yuan Ju with a wave of his hand. Zhongguang, I have already said what I need to say to you. You should be able to see that although you have the support of me, Fa Dai, and Yu Lang, the 2 Grand Elders, in reality, you do not have much of an advantage in the competition with Jie Su. It can even be said that you are clearly at a disadvantage. After all, you have been stuck at the peak of the Green Hell realm for more than 10 years, and there is no hope of entering the Vision Saint stage in a short period of time. In this situation, the forces on our side have already become restless. Some of my subordinate elders, Hall Masters, and disciples have even faintly mentioned to me that they want us to change sides and make plans early. Otherwise, when Jie Su takes the Sect Master's throne, even if he cannot do anything to us, it is not difficult for him to reduce the amount of resources we can obtain greatly. Therefore, in this situation, it is inevitable that people will be moved, and we urgently need a strong support to raise the morale of our side. Do you understand? Bei Zhongguang thought about how he had talked with Cho Tsing Hui not long ago, and how he had vowed to let Cho Tsing Hui know the consequences of offending him. If he went to curry favor with him at this time. For a moment, he felt his face burning, and he had no face left. Don't think that Cho Tsing Hui is just an ordinary Grand Elder. Elder Yuan Ju looked at Bei Zhongguang, and said meaningfully, originally, with Cho Tsing Hui's ability, even if he has the battle strength to suppress Yuan He and Qin Zhen, the 2 Grand Elders, it is not enough for the Sect Master and us Grand Elders to make an exception and take him into the Grand Elder Council before he has made any great contributions, but, from what I know, behind that Cho Tsing Hui, there is a great background. It is very likely that he is a disciple of a mysterious almighty being. Battle strength to suppress Yuan He and Qin Zhen, the 2 Grand Elders. A disciple of a mysterious almighty being from another continent. An almighty being. The content of this sentence made Bei Zhongguang completely dumbfounded. Suppressing Yuan He and Qin Zhen, the 2 Grand Elders. Cho Tsing Hui's strength was so terrifying. And his identity and background. An almighty being. As the first deputy sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, he understood very well what the words almighty being meant. It was an invincible existence that could easily flatten the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect, and even the entire eastern wilderness. Even if the Hunyuan Heaven sect had recently joined Shadow Sword and become a part of Shadow Sword, if they dared to offend an almighty being, Shadow Sword would not hesitate to abandon them to appease that almighty being's anger. At this thought, Bei Zhongguang felt his voice tremble. This, elder, is what you said true? Cho Tsinghui really has an almighty background. Although it is not confirmed yet, but... Elder Yuanjue paused for a moment, and then said seriously, think carefully about Tsing Hui's ability, and then think about his current age. If it weren't for the fact that he has an almighty backing him, how could he possibly be able to suppress two of our Hunyuan Heaven sect's grand elders at the age of 30? This. Bei Zhongguang's heart turned completely cold. Elder Yuanjue stepped forward and patted Bei Zhongguang's shoulder. Zhongguang, I've already told you the news. It's up to you to decide what to do. Jiesu is not in a sect, and this is your greatest opportunity. I hope you won't let us down. Chapter 266. When Bei Zhongguang returned to Juguang Peak, his mind was still in a daze. At this moment, he felt as if there were 10,000 alpacas galloping through his heart. What happened to a mere vice hall master of Calming Sea Palace not being worth mentioning? What happened to offending the first vice sect master and killing him? What happened to being confident and calm? Damn it all to hell. Bei Zhongguang was fuming. When he thought of Elder Yuanjue's words, his heart was filled with an urge to vent. Elder Yuanjue had already made it very clear. If you don't rope in Cho Tsinghui, we will fall out with you and no longer support you. In any case, we will never offend that new Grand Elder who seems to have a powerful backer behind him. As Grand Elders, we have many choices. If we don't support you, we can still support Jiesu. I believe that with 3 Grand Elders changing their allegiance, even if these 3 Grand Elders had gone against him everywhere previously, he would definitely be happy to welcome them with both hands. But if that happened, Bei Zhongguang's glory as a vice sect master would become a thing of the past, and no one would take him seriously anymore. When he thought of the consequences of losing the first vice sect master and losing his hopes of becoming the sect master in the future, Bei Zhongguang couldn't help but shudder. Just think about the influence of the other vice sect masters in the sect and you'll know. Perhaps, they were half a level higher than ordinary hall masters. When they sought out those hall masters for help, those hall masters would more or less give them face. But for those hall masters ranked in the top 10, what was a vice sect master with no potential to compete for the position of sect master? If he wanted to be able to get whatever he wanted in the sect, it would become an extravagant hope. Sect Master Bei, you're back. I specially went to the kitchen during this time and used my special method to brew a medicinal cuisine. It should have a good effect on Sect Master Bei's body. Just as Bei Zhongguang arrived at his study in a daze, a voice full of flattery rang out beside him. He saw the distant fire hall elder Zhuri, who had just joined their Juguang Peak and was under his protection, standing in front of the study with a charming smile on his face. Behind him, there was a servant that he had brought with him who was waiting at the side with a bowl of medicinal cuisine for him to enjoy. Looking at elder Zhuri, the culprit who had also offended Zhuo Qingshu, Bei Zhongguang, who was originally full of grievances and anger, suddenly exploded. At this moment, he couldn't even care less about his demeanor as the first vice sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. He suddenly kicked Zhuri and roared, "Recuperate my body. Bei Zhongguang, my body is spotty. You're deliberately trying to make me eat your so-called medicinal diet. Are you cursing my body to collapse and become a laughingstock? Get lost." Elder Zhuri, who was waiting for Bei Zhongguang's arrival with a flattering expression, was stunned by Bei Zhongguang's kick. He didn't even have time to react before he was sent flying and heavily smashed into the attendant behind him. The attendant spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. Even the medicinal cuisine in his hand fell onto Elder Juri's body, drenching him like a drowned rat. But his battered and exhausted appearance was nothing. What really frightened Elder Juri was that he couldn't understand why the vice-sect master Bei Zhongguang, who had been amiable to him in the morning, had become like this after a visit to Grand Elder Yuan Ju. The change in attitude made Elder Juri, who completely relied on Bei Zhongguang, feel uneasy. Take him away. Take him away. Don't make a fool of yourself in front of me. Bei Zhongguang roared furiously in his heart, as he stormed towards his own courtyard angrily. Immediately, a Spirit Chi Unity stage guard stepped forward and quickly pulled Elder Juri away. Juri, who didn't know how he had offended Bei Zhongguang, was filled with fear. A bunch of trash. Trash. You're all trash. Bei Zhongguang flew into a rage when he returned to his courtyard. In just a short moment, he had smashed countless vases and pots in his study. After smashing a few vases and pots to vent his anger, Bei Zhongguang finally calmed down. As the first vice-sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, he naturally wasn't lacking in wisdom. The reason why he had lost his composure was because he had been used to everything going smoothly for the past few years. Suddenly, he suffered such a big loss in front of Tsing Hui, and his brain couldn't wrap itself around it. Now that he calmed down and thought about it, he immediately understood the core of the conflict between him and Cho Tsing Hui. Since it was impossible to change this matter as if it had never happened, he began to ponder how to salvage the situation. It's suspected that there's an almighty behind Cho Tsing Hui, although it hasn't been confirmed. From the fact that Cho Tsing Hui was able to cultivate to a level not inferior to an illustrious saint stage expert in a short few years, I can infer that this matter is most likely true. I can't think of anyone else who can teach such an outstanding disciple apart from an almighty personally teaching him. Regardless of whether there's an almighty behind Cho Tsing Hui or not, just the potential he's shown, no, it can already be said that he's strong. Just the strength he displayed to suppress the two grand elders, Yuan He and Qin Zhen, is enough for the Hunyuan Heaven sect to rope him in with the position of grand elder. Bei Zhongguang quickly analyzed the cause and effect of this matter in his mind and quickly straightened out his thoughts. Such an almighty with illustrious saint battle strength, especially, a great figure with a high chance of becoming a saint in the future, I can't afford to offend him no matter what. The only way is to resolve the conflict with him as quickly as possible, and the root of our conflict is ultimately Erisher Yudo. Bei Zhongguang quickly grasped the crux of the matter. Thinking of the scheming woman who had bewitched his younger brother, Bei Zhongguang could not help but curse, that bitch actually dares to bring me such a big trouble. Immediately, he shouted at the door, guards. Sect master, what are your orders? Soon, a spirit-refining realm guard appeared outside Bei Zhongguang's study. He half knelt on the ground and asked in a trembling voice. Where did Chonghua go? And Erisher Yudo? Where is that bitch now? Reporting to sect master, the young master should be admiring the lotuses in the pond right now. Admiring the lotuses. He's actually in the mood to admire the lotuses. Bei Zhongguang's eyes were filled with dark clouds. Although his relationship with this disciple of his was very deep, it was far from being so deep that he would give up the benefits in his hands for him. For his own future thinking of this, a cold light flashed in Bei Zhongguang's eyes. At this moment, in the direction of the welcoming guest peak in the distance, a burst of heavenly music suddenly sounded. A purple light shot into the sky, dyeing the horizon purple. At the same time, countless petals of primordial chi sprinkled down, filling the void where the welcoming guest peak was located, causing bursts of cheers. And in the Hunyuan peak, a stream of light shot out, heading straight to the guest peak. From the chi that was faintly emitted from the stream of light, the expert heading to the guest peak was impressively a supreme elder. This is the etiquette of the purple chi from the east, the sky full of flower rain. What's going on, immediately send someone to inquire, what kind of esteemed guest has come to visit. Bei Zhongguang faintly had a bad premonition in his heart, and hurriedly ordered the guard. In less than 10 minutes, the guard returned and said in disbelief, reporting to sect master, "It's not an esteemed guest who has come to visit, but, it's the deputy hall master of the sea suppressing hall, Cho Tsing Hui, who has returned to the Hunyuan heaven sect." Cho Tsing Hui. How can he be so fast? Didn't Elder Yuan Ju say that he would return in a day or two? How? Bei Shangguang's expression changed. Sect Master Cho Tsing Hui might have made a great contribution, so the sect sent the guest hall master and Supreme Elder Du Ming to personally welcome him. Made a great contribution. Bei Shangguang naturally knew why the Hunyuan Heaven sect had mobilized so many people for Tsing Hui's arrival. Supreme Elder. After today, Cho Tsing Hui would become a Supreme Elder of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. It was the first time a Supreme Elder had returned to the sect, so the sect naturally had to show sufficient etiquette. If not for Cho Tsing Hui's hasty arrival that caught the Hunyuan Heaven sect unprepared, the etiquette would have been more than just purple chi from the east and rain of flowers from the sky. At the very least, there would have been a dragon and tiger carriage. Damn it! Immediately tell Bei Shangguang and that bitch Erisher Yudo to come see me. No, time is of the essence. I have to resolve the grudge between us before the news of him becoming a Supreme Elder is announced to the world. I'll go personally. Bei Shangguang did not have time to explain further. He leaped into the air like a stream of light and headed straight for Baichi, which was halfway up Jaguang Peak. On the stone bridge of Baichi, Bei Shangguang and Erisher Yudo were accompanied by several maidservants as they wandered around the lotus pond. The two walked hand in hand, and from time to time, maidservants would respectfully serve them tea and snacks. They were truly carefree and at ease. When Bei Shangguang saw this scene, a cluster of anger burned fiercely in his heart. I, the dignified first deputy sect master, am suffering because of you too. I have a belly full of anger but have no way to vent it, and you two are actually in the mood to stroll around the lotus pond. Swish! Accompanied by the whistling of the stream of light, Bei Chongguang swept up a gust of wind and landed on a platform about 10 meters in front of Bei Chonghua and Lan Yutong. The strong wind pressure immediately caused the maids to cry out in panic. Bei Shangguang was about to get angry, but when he saw that it was his elder brother Bei Shangguang who had come, a smile suddenly appeared on his face. Elder brother, you're here. I wonder why Elder Yuan Ju has called you over. Can you tell us so we can be happy together? Chapter 267. Have fun. Have fun. Bei Zhongguang stared at Bei Zhongguang with a sneer on his face that was faintly twisted. You want to have fun? If you want to be happy, then I'll make you happy. Bei Zhonghua noticed that Bei Zhongguang's expression didn't seem right, and asked worriedly, Elder brother, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Erisher Yudo faintly felt that Bei Zhongguang's state wasn't right, and hurriedly pulled Bei Zhonghua to stop him. Not feeling well? Hee, don't you want to know why Elder Yuan Ju summoned me? Then I'll tell you. After a unanimous discussion, our Hunyuan Heaven Sect Supreme Elder Council has decided to promote one person to the position of Supreme Elder and become the 19th member of our Hunyuan Heaven Sect Supreme Elder Council. Supreme Elder? Bei Zhonghua was slightly taken aback, and then he said strangely, a new Supreme Elder should be a good thing, right? At this time, Elder Brother should take advantage of the fact that he has just joined the Supreme Elder Council and pull him into your camp to gain his support. Do you think so too? Bei Zhongguang stared coldly at Bei Zhonghua. This, of course, Bei Zhonghua felt a little scared under Bei Zhongguang's gaze, and he braced himself to respond. On the other hand, Lan Yutong, who was standing at the side, considered her words carefully and cautiously said, Big brother. I wonder who this newly promoted Grand Elder is? Can he affect the structure of the Grand Elder Council? Who is this new Supreme Elder? Both of you know this person. You've even met him formally before. We know him. We've met. Bei Zhonghua was even more confused. If we know each other and have met, then it proves that we have a friendship. Isn't that good? It's convenient for us to recruit him in advance. Why does elder brother seem a little unhappy? Bei Zhonghua didn't understand, but Erisher Yudo was extremely intelligent. Based on Bei Zhongguang's sudden change in attitude and the information revealed in his words, know him, they had even met before. Bei Zhonghua followed Bei Zhongguang and saw many palace masters. He knew and met many Green Hell Realm cultivators, but she was Erisher Yudo. The number of Green Hell Realm experts she knew and met could be counted with her fingers. As for those who could make Bei Zhongguang treat them like this, a shocking name suddenly appeared in his mind. Erisher Yuto's face instantly turned pale. Could it be? Impossible, it can't be him, it can't be him, have you thought of it? Bei Zhongguang looked at Erisher Yudo coldly. Since you've thought of it, why don't you say it? Erisher Yuto's beautiful eyes widened as she stared at Bei Zhongguang in disbelief. Is it really him? How can it be fake? Bei Zhonghua was confused and hurriedly asked, Junior sister Yutong, elder brother, who are you talking about? Don't beat around the bush. Tell me, we'll think of a way to please him and make him support elder brother in competing for the Hunyuan Heavenly Sect Master's throne, even if the price is too high. Even if the price is too high. Bei Zhongguang said indifferently. Remember what you said, this new Grand Elder is none other than the newly appointed Deputy Palace Master of the Sea Suppressing Palace, the leader of the Life Alliance, and the owner of the other half of Qinglan Peak, Chou Tsinghui. Chou Tsinghui. Bei Zhonghua was slightly taken aback. And Erisher Yudo, even if she had already guessed it, couldn't help but sway and almost fall down after hearing Bei Zhongguang's words. Impossible. How can it be Chou Tsinghui? Who does Chou Tsinghui think he is? He's just a deputy palace master of the Sea Suppressing Palace, how can he become the new Grand Elder of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect? Is this a mistake? Do you think I would joke about this? A cold light flashed in Bei Zhongguang's eyes. How can this be? How can this be? Why did the sect allow this little thief to enter the Grand Elder's Council? Why did the sect let this little thief become our Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Grand Elder? Bei Zhonghua seemed to think of all the possible consequences of this, and a look of panic appeared on his face. But it couldn't be called fear. Erisher Yudo also looked at Bei Zhongguang with a pitiful expression. Chou Tsinghui had become the Grand Elder of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, and his influence in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect had reached a new peak. This time, all her hopes were pinned on Bei Zhongguang. Bei Zhonghua, over the years, I, as your brother, have done countless things for you. In total, I've done at least 80 if not 100. Today, it's time for you to work for me. Since you said that no matter the price, you must win him over to our side, then I'll hand the two of you over to Chou Tsinghui to appease his anger. Don't. Bei Zhonghua hurriedly exclaimed, Brother, you must not hand us over to Chou Tsinghui. Once you do, he will never let us go. Although Chou Tsinghui is a Grand Elder, he can't directly hurt you. At most, we won't provoke him anymore. Won't provoke him anymore. Bei Zhongguang sneered. So what you said before about not caring about anything was just empty talk. If I really let you take action, you'll immediately retreat. You're really my good brother. Do you think we'll be fine if we don't provoke him? Elder Yuan Ju has already told me that if I can't win over Chou Tsinghui and obtain his forgiveness, he, Elder Fa Dai and Elder Yu Lang will abandon me in the future and support Jiesu. Once the three of them openly support Jiesu, Jiesu will immediately sit on the sect master's throne. At that time, all the followers who have placed their hopes on me will abandon me, and my future will be completely destroyed. How is this possible? How can the Grand Elders make such a decision for a mere Chou Tsinghui? The reason behind this is not something you can imagine. In short, you've enjoyed a good life under my protection for so long. Today, it's time for you to contribute your value. Besides, strictly speaking, this matter was caused by the two of you. If you weren't my brother, I would have directly killed you and sent you to Chou Tsinghui. As soon as Bei Zhongguang finished speaking, he immediately shouted, "Men, take them down." Xiao. Instantly, several figures whizzed over and landed in front of Bei Zhonghua and Erisher Yudo. Seeing the determined look on Bei Zhongguang's face, even willing to sacrifice his own brother to protect his future, Erisher Yuto's eyes flashed with despair, and his entire body went limp on the ground. Who would have thought, she had exhausted all her schemes, constantly currying favor with the powerful, constantly seeking refuge from one big shot after another in a futile attempt to get rid of Chou Tsinghui's psychological shadow. But in the end, she still fell into the hands of Chou Tsinghui. Grand Elder, Grand Elder. Even the first deputy sect master, Bei Zhongguang, couldn't protect her Grand Elder, brother. Bei Zhongguang let out a mournful cry. But Bei Zhongguang was determined to sacrifice Bei Zhonghua and the others for his future. He waved his hand fiercely, and several guards of the spirit and chi stage swarmed forward and quickly captured the two. Go and bring that old thing Zhuri here as well. He'll come with me to Qinglan Peak to pay a visit. Bei Zhongguang said. He did not dare to delay and went straight to Qinglan Peak. Hunyuan Heaven Sect's peak master disciples and deputy sect master disciples were not far away. Bei Zhongguang escorted Bei Zhonghua, Erisher Yudo, and Elder Zhuri, who was later escorted, and arrived at Qinglan Peak not long after. When they arrived at Qinglan Peak, Bei Zhongguang did not even dare to directly land on Qinglan Peak Square. He respectfully bowed to the disciple guarding Qinglan Peak from a distance. Junior brother, please inform Peak Master Nalan of Qinglan Peak that Bei Zhongguang has specially brought my naughty brother to apologize to Peak Master Nalan and Deputy Peak Master Tsinghui. Bei. Deputy Sect Master Bei, the disciple guarding Qinglan Peak, was actually just a member of the royal family of the Wei High Kingdom. His cultivation had just stepped into the awakening stage. Usually, those high-ranking deacons were unreachable in his mind. Who would have thought that such a legendary existence like Bei Zhongguang would personally come to pay a visit? He froze on the spot, unable to react for a while. In this regard, Bei Zhongguang did not dare to be angry. He could only patiently smile. Junior brother, please inform Peak Master Nalan and Peak Master Tsinghui that Bei Zhongguang has come to apologize. The disciple guarding Qinglan Peak quivered and immediately came to his senses. He hurriedly said, I'll go and report, I'll go right away. After saying that, he actually abandoned Bei Zhongguang and the others, and directly ran into the mountain, leaving Bei Zhongguang and the others alone outside, and for a moment, they were in a mess. After all, Bei Zhongguang and the others came to pay a visit. Even if the disciples needed to ask the Peak Master for permission, they should first be invited to the living room to sit quietly and serve tea, snacks, and other things. How could it be like now, where the person went to report and directly left the guests outside the door? However, because Bei Zhongguang, the first deputy sect master, had personally said that he wanted to suppress the development of Qinglan Peak, many experts who originally relied on Qinglan Peak left Qinglan Peak one after another, so Qinglan Peak faintly fell into a situation where there was no one to rely on. They could only rely on the Wei High Kingdom's awakening stage disciple to hold up the facade. Because this disciple was originally a member of the royal family, he did not understand the etiquette of hospitality. Therefore, he inadvertently gave Bei Zhongguang a show of strength. But in this regard, Bei Zhongguang could only accept it and did not dare to show the slightest dissatisfaction. Bei Zhongguang and the others were left outside Qinglan Peak. After a long time, the nearby peaks naturally knew about it. These peak disciples saw Bei Zhongguang's cautious appearance and escorted Bei Chonghua, Zhuri, and Erisher Yudo to apologize. They all felt that it was inconceivable. For a while, there was a lot of discussion, which made Bei Zhongguang and the others lose face. Fortunately, Nalan Fei was not the disciple guarding Qinglan Peak. After receiving the report, even if she was previously dissatisfied with Bei Zhongguang's suppression of Qinglan Peak, she still sent a message to Tsinghui and the others to welcome them inside. She waited for Tsing Hui to return from Hunyuan Peak to deal with this matter. Chapter 268. Bei Chongguang, Clan Leader Bei. The main hall of Qinglan Peak. Naylan Fei looked at the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's first deputy sect master, then glanced at Zhuri, Erisher Yudo, and even Bei Chonghua, who were escorted behind him, with a strange look on her face. If Sect Master Bei came for Tsing Hui, then he obviously isn't suitable. Sect Master summoned him, and he's currently on Hunyuan Peak. I understand. I can wait here. Bei Chongguang put his posture very low. After glancing at Naylan Fei, he quickly said, I was delayed by something at the last Peak Master Naylan Summit, so I didn't have time to attend and congratulate you. It's really my fault. Although it's not the golden time to congratulate you, I still prepared a gift for Peak Master Naylan. I hope Peak Master Naylan will accept it. As he spoke, he clapped his hands. Immediately, two spirit-refining cultivators carried a box and walked forward. I've heard that Peak Master Naylan cultivates the Azure One bloodline. Treasures related to the Azure One bloodline are inconvenient to obtain, so I don't have anything that I can take out. However, the Azure One is a variant sacred beast of the Phoenix. Some treasures related to the sacred beast of the Phoenix can also have a good effect on the Azure One bloodline. I just happen to have a fire phoenix feather robe that I obtained from an ancient cave. Its defensive grade is not high, only equivalent to a 5th-tier armor. However, wearing this fire phoenix feather robe, not only will it greatly increase the efficiency of techniques related to one's body, it will also have indescribable benefits in tracing back and comprehending the mysteries of the Azure One bloodline. Fire Phoenix Feather Raiment. A light flashed in Naylan Fei's eyes. More than one of these Fire Phoenix Feather garments made from phoenix feathers had been unearthed in the past, and each of them could be sold for an extremely high price. Back then, a Grand Elder of the Jin Wu religion had directly bid for a Fire Phoenix Feather garments at the price of a 6th-tier divine weapon. Although this price was slightly higher overall, it was enough to prove the astonishing value of the Fire Phoenix Feather garments. However, when she recalled that Bei Chongguang was here to beg Tsing Hui for mercy, she felt that it would be inappropriate for her to accept the gift before Tsing Hui spoke. As such, she only said, Sect Master Bei Chongguang, this gift is too precious. I, Naylan Fei, am unable to accept it. Peak Master Naylan is too polite. In the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect, the one most qualified to wear this feather robe is Peak Master Naylan. I hope Peak Master Naylan won't refuse Senior Brother's kind intentions. Sect Master Bei Chongguang, please take it back. Before Naylan Fei could finish speaking, a voice sounded out from the sky, because of Bei Zhongguang, Senior Apprentice Sister Naylan's founding peak assembly came to an end. It started strong but ended weak. It's reasonable for him to offer such a treasure as an apology. Just accept it. While speaking, Tsing Hui and Lei Jing, the deputy hall master of the operation hall, appeared on the mountain peak one after another. Seeing the two people appear in the void, Bei Chonghua's eyes flashed with anger, while Erisher Yudo wore a pitiful expression. On the other hand, Elder Zhuri's eyes were filled with uncontrollable fear. Cho Tsing Hui, Deputy Sect Master Bei Chongguang, we parted ways 10 days ago. How have you been, Sect Master Bei Chongguang? Tsing Hui said indifferently. Bei Chongguang's face twitched slightly, but he still forced a smile and said in a fawning manner, Elder Tsing Hui, I really didn't know the inside story of the Tianji Pavilion 10 days ago. I was deceived by my stupid brother, Zhuri, and Erisher Yudo, and that's why I offended Elder Tsing Hui with my words. In order to seek Elder Tsing Hui's forgiveness, I specially escorted these people here. You can kill them or cut them up as you please. After speaking, Bei Chonghua, Erisher Yudo, and Elder Zhuri were escorted to Tsing Hui by his followers. You and I are both members of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and I'm an elder of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. You can't abuse your authority and harm your fellow sect members. You must be punished by the sect's rules. Even the sect master has to abide by this. Bei Chonghua understood that he had been completely abandoned. He could no longer rely on his elder brother, Bei Chongguan. He immediately spoke to Tsing Hui with a terrified expression. Abuse my authority? As the supreme elder of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, how can I abuse my authority and punish a member of the sect? Just based on the disrespect in your words, I can punish you for the crime of slander. You should know that slandering a supreme elder can be light or heavy. If it's light, you can just slap yourself. If it's heavy, you can be killed on the spot by the supreme elder without any complaints. Tsing Hui said indifferently. For a moment, Bei Chonghua's face turned deathly pale again. He turned to Bei Chongguang in horror and begged, "Elder brother, save me, save me." "No, no, junior sister Yutong, I don't want to." Elder Tsing Hui only has enmity with junior sister Yutong and Juri. I will draw a clear line with them, please save me. Bei Chonghua's words made Erisher Yudo, who had placed a glimmer of hope on him, sway slightly. She was almost knocked unconscious by this huge blow. Bei Chonghua, you. Slap. Before Erisher Yudo could speak, Bei Chonghua had already turned around and slapped Erisher Yudo's face. She couldn't help but stagger and fall to the ground. A bright red palm print covered her pretty white face. Shut up. If it weren't for the fact that you've offended the great elder of Qing Su, why would I have fallen into your trap and become an enemy of the great elder? You don't even know who you are. Compared to Supreme Elder Tsing Hui, you are like heaven and earth. It was your great fortune that Supreme Elder Tsing Hui took a fancy to you, but you didn't know. Instead, you deceived Supreme Elder Tsing Hui. Today is the time for you to pay the price for what you did in the past. Bei Chonghua, I was blind to fall in love with you. Erisher Yudo looked at Bei Chonghua, who didn't care about anything in order to protect himself. She immediately glared at him and gnashed her teeth. Like me? What do you mean like me? Do you think I can't see it? You painstakingly approached me just to borrow my elder brother's power to become your enemy against Supreme Elder Tsing Hui. Do you think I'm so stupid? Bah! Bei Chonghua fiercely scolded Erisher Yudo, then hurriedly turned around and knelt in front of Tsing Hui. Elder Tsing Hui, I have already drawn a clear line with that bitch Erisher Yudo. From now on, if that bitch wants to kill or torture me, Supreme Elder Tsing Hui will do as she pleases. At the same time, I also admire Supreme Elder Tsing Hui's legendary deeds of establishing the Life Moon Alliance overseas. I want to follow Supreme Elder Tsing Hui and serve Supreme Elder Tsing Hui. Tsing Hui glanced at Bei Chonghua, who had ruthlessly abandoned Erisher Yudo and shamelessly said that he wanted to serve him. He sneered inwardly. Currently, he was in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. In front of so many people, he really couldn't do anything to Bei Chonghua, Erisher Yudo, Shuri, and the others. At least, he couldn't do anything to them. But outside of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, since you admire my legendary deeds of establishing the Life Moon Alliance overseas and want to follow and serve me, then I will grant your wish and give you this opportunity. Hall Master Lei Jing, please transfer Bei Chonghua's file to my C-suppressing hall. In addition, Elder Juri, your file has long been transferred to my C-suppressing hall. Why haven't you reported it yet? As for Erisher Yudo, she is your disciple, right? If you go to the C-suppressing hall, she will naturally have to follow you. In a few days, I will be heading overseas. At that time, you will all come with me. Bei Chonghua couldn't help but shudder when he heard that Tsing Hui was really going to take him to the C-suppressing hall. In the Hunyuan Heaven sect, if Tsing Hui wanted to kill them, he would at least have to find a dignified reason. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain it to the sect. But once he went overseas with Tsing Hui, his life and death would be completely in the hands of Tsing Hui. If Tsing Hui wanted them to live, they would be able to live without worries overseas. If he wanted them to die, he only needed to arrange them to be at the forefront of conquering other overseas islands. With the help of the Qingming stage sea overlords, they could be killed in one fell swoop. Even the Hunyuan Heaven sect wouldn't be able to pursue the matter. After all, how could there be no casualties when conquering islands and expanding the territory of the Hunyuan Heaven sect? This, Elder Tsing Hui, I think you should also need some people on Qinglan Peak. Although I want to follow Elder Tsing Hui to expand the territory overseas, but, Bei Chonghua hurriedly wanted to change his words. But Tsing Hui didn't intend to give him a chance to change his words. In the Tianji Pavilion, if it weren't for Bei Chonghua's exaggeration, he wouldn't have completely broken down with Bei Chongguang. It's settled then. Master Lei Jing, I'll have to trouble you to handle this matter as soon as possible. I'm in a hurry to return to the sea suppressing hall, so treat this as a special case. Lei Jing smiled and nodded. Don't worry, it will take at least 1 day to complete the procedures. Of course, we will need the cooperation of Deputy Sect Master Bei. After all, Bei Chonghua is a disciple under Sect Master Bei. Although Bei Chongguang knew that Bei Chonghua wouldn't have a good end if Tsing Hui took him overseas, he had already made a concession and completely lost face. How could he care about Bei Chonghua's life and death? He immediately ignored Bei Chonghua's pleading eyes and waved his hand. Please rest assured, Master Lei. Later, I will send someone to bring Master Lei to Juguang Peak, and I will do my best to cooperate with Master Lei. Then I thank Deputy Sect Master Bei Chongguang. You are the most outstanding junior of our Hunyuan Heaven sect. Looking at the entire sect, no one can be compared to you except chosen Jiesu. We still have to get closer to each other. Tsing Hui said with a faint smile. Seeing that Tsing Hui finally did not intend to pursue this matter any further, Bei Chongguang breathed a sigh of relief. Elder Tsing Hui is too polite. In the future, I will definitely come to visit Elder Tsing Hui more often. N. Tsing Hui nodded and swept a glance over Qinglan Peak. The peak is simple and crude, so I won't keep Sect Master Bei Chongguang any longer. Sect Master Bei Chongguang, please make yourself at home. I also don't want to disturb Elder Tsing Hui's cultivation, so I will take my leave. Bei Chongguang respectfully bowed and quickly retreated. He didn't even look in the direction of Bei Chonghua, Erisher Yudo, or Zhuri. Chapter 269. After Bei Chongguang left, Tsing Hui glanced at the panicking Bei Chonghua, Erisher Yudo, and Zhuri with an indifferent expression and said, "Take them away. When we return to the Life League." "Oh, I mean the Sea Suppressing Palace, bring them directly to the Sea Suppressing Palace." "Yes." The Life League's Unity of Spirit Realm experts on the mountain peak answered. Tsing Hui nodded and walked towards the mountain peak palace together with Naylan Fei. Naylan Fei turned around and looked at the pale and pitiful Erisher Yudo. Then she turned to Tsing Hui and said, "This Erisher Yudo is quite pitiful. Especially after reaching the true energy realm, her temperament has improved. Tsing Hui, you were extremely infatuated with her in the past. Now that she has fallen into your hands, are you sure you don't want to take her in and enrich your harem? This woman is naturally far from enough to be the main wife, but she is quite beautiful as a concubine. In addition to the feelings you had when you were young, why don't you think about it? If you're worried that she'll have other ideas, just cripple her true energy cultivation, injure her meridians, and end her cultivation path." At this point, Naylan Fei smiled faintly. "Without her cultivation and in your territory, even if she has thousands of tricks and schemes, she won't be able to use them." Tsing Hui glanced at Naylan Fei and shook his head speechlessly. "This isn't something that senior sister Naylan needs to worry about, right? Why don't I need to worry about it? Although the saintess of the Jin Wu religion, Lai Wuyang, is in love with you, I can see that in her heart, the future of the Jin Wu religion is more important than yours. Therefore, that woman. Unless you can completely subdue her and let her come back to take care of your husband and children, you'll be running around in the future. On the other hand, Erisher Yuto's life and death, honor and disgrace are in your hands. You can do whatever you want with her and there won't be any trouble. You can use her to enrich your harem and continue your Zhuo family's bloodline. Why not? Let's not talk about this for the time being. Let's talk about the next plan of Qinglan Peak. You're growing faster and faster, and it won't be long before you meet the standards of the powerful figure behind you. At that time, you'll most likely follow that powerful figure to the Infinite Wasteland domain. Once you go to Infinite Wasteland domain, it won't be easy to return. Because of cultivation, a closed-door training can take years or decades. By the time you return to the Eastern Wasteland domain, it won't be strange for decades or even centuries to have passed. At that time, it's unknown whether your parents will still be alive or not. You can't let them not see their grandchildren and enjoy the joy of having so many children and grandchildren before they die. This matter, Xing Hui really didn't know how to respond to Nailan Fei's words. He was indebted to Cho Xing Hui's physical body. If he wanted to completely end this karma, the best way was to pass on the Zhuo family's bloodline. Only then could he be considered to have completed his merit. It was just that, shaking his head, Xing Hui didn't want to discuss this matter any further. Let's not talk about this for the time being. When the boat comes to the bridge head, it will cross that bridge. There's no point in forcing it. When Nailan Fei heard this, she also sighed, I really don't want to see my brother anxiously waiting for a successor day and night. Although she had high hopes for Xing Hui, and as a junior, Xing Hui's achievements had already surpassed hers, and he had become a towering tree that she needed to rely on, she still valued Zhuo Shiri's opinion more than once. Zhuo Shiri had evidently asked Nailan Fei to persuade Xing Hui to pass on the Zhuo family's bloodline more than once. It was because of this that Nailan Fei seemed to be so attentive and would frequently give advice. The addition of a new Grand Elder to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Grand Elder Council was an important matter that had to be announced to the entire sect. Due to the matter of Beishong Guang and Xing Hui's recent return to the sect, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect still needed to make preparations. Early the next morning, the Records Hall Master personally came to Qinglan Peak where Xing Hui was and invited Xing Hui to the Nine Saints Peak, which was specially used by the Grand Elder Council for meetings. The Nine Saints Peak was where the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's Grand Elders resided. The Nine Saints referred to the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's most glorious era, when 9 Saint stage experts dominated the world. That era was also the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's golden age. It was precisely because of the ancestors of the 9 Saints Peak that the Hunyuan Heaven Sect was able to possess such a vast territory and sit firmly on the throne of the Eastern Wilderness 10 great sacred sects. When Xing Hui arrived at the 9 Saints Peak, there were already many people waiting there, especially the 13 figures in the hall. Without exception, all of them exuded a vast and majestic aura. Xing Hui, who didn't have any saint techniques, felt a chill run down his spine. If the 13 figures attacked at the same time, the power they contained would be earth-shattering. Even a saint stage expert could be killed on the spot. Hall Master Xing Hui has arrived. Is this Cho Xing Hui? If it weren't for Elder Yuan He and Elder Qin Rant's words, I wouldn't believe that this child has the ability to suppress 2 Grand Elders. Don't forget that Hall Master Xing Hui is suspected to be the disciple of an Almighty. With the means of an Almighty who stands at the peak of the world, how difficult is it for them to train a Qingming stage disciple who can suppress 2 prominent saint stage elders? That's true. Although our Hunyuan Heaven Sect has joined the Shadow Sword Sect and become a follower of the Sword Master of Slaughter, the Sword Master of Slaughter is an invincible figure who has mastered remarkable abilities. He has countless followers, and our Hunyuan Heaven Sect can't be considered outstanding. It's not impossible to find another way out through Zhuoqingshu, but this matter has to be done secretly and slowly so as not to arouse the displeasure of the Sword Master of Slaughter. The various Grand Elders discussed spiritedly, but all of them looked at Xing Hui with a trace of friendliness. Hall Master Xing Hui, please take a seat. The person in charge of the Grand Elder meeting was not Sect Master Zhuo Kunlun. Zhuo Kunlun held the greatest authority in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, but in reality, he was only an executor. The Grand Elders would discuss the future development of the sect and hand it over to sect masters Wuxia. Wuxia would then carry it out, and the Grand Elders had the duty to cooperate. The person in charge of the Grand Elder meeting was the second-ranked Grand Elder, Nine Nether, an existence who stood at the peak of the prominent saint stage. Hall Master Tsing Hui, as the first elder, has faintly sensed an opportunity to transform his true Yuan saint body. He has been in closed-door cultivation since a year ago. I will be in charge of today's meeting. Thank you for your trouble. Tsing Hui nodded. However, I hope that all the Grand Elders will agree to my suggestion yesterday. My identity can be spread to the upper echelons of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, but there is no need to announce it to the outside world. This way, I can be used as a surprise army to defeat the enemy at a crucial moment. I'm afraid it won't be easy to keep this matter under wraps any longer. However, Hall Master Qing Su only seems to be at the Blue Darkness realm after all, so you might be able to confuse us. If Hall Master Qing Su doesn't wish to publicize this matter, why don't we just hide your actual strength and announce to the public that you've made an exception and joined the Great Elder Council because you've made great contributions to the sect and possess a boundless future. However, the necessary procedures cannot be omitted. I hope that Hall Master Tsing Hui will cooperate. That's good. Tsing Hui smiled faintly. His battle prowess that allowed him to suppress the two Grand Elders was ultimately due to the saint art. If the Hunyuan Heaven sect's people praised him for being able to stand on equal footing with illustrious saint stage experts, he would truly be courting death. Please. As Nine Nether spoke, she began to guide Tsing Hui through the various steps required to join the Grand Elder meeting. During this period, he naturally needed to meet the founder and ancestors of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. The Hunyuan Heaven sect had existed for over 10,000 years, and there were already 19 generations of disciples. On average, they would open the sect gates once every 500 to 600 years. As for the disciples that the elders thought highly of and temporarily brought into the sect, it would be calculated based on the seniority of the elders. The process of joining the Grand Elder meeting was solemn and complicated. Even though cultivators always paid attention to efficiency, half a day had passed by the time Zhou Yuan was truly accepted into the Grand Elder meeting and given a Grand Elder meeting token. As the token was given out, 36 consecutive bell rings rang out on the Nine Saints Peak, spreading throughout the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect. Ju Guang Peak. The teacup in Bei Chongguang's hand shattered to pieces. I really became a Grand Elder, damn it. He swept a glance over the Ju Guang Peak, which was clearly much emptier than before, and his face immediately turned gloomy. I, Bei Chongguang, have never been humiliated like this since I became the vice sect master. Just you wait, Cho Tsing Hui, this matter won't end like this. Unless I never break through to the prominent saint stage and never become the sect master or Grand Elder, I will repay today's humiliation tenfold, no, 100-fold. After speaking, he abruptly roared outside, men, pass down the order to seal the mountain for 3 years. I'm going into closed-door cultivation to break through to the prominent saint stage. Prominent saint stage. Break through to the prominent saint stage. As long as he reached the prominent saint stage, with the help of the prominent saint stage assassin he had planted, revenge would not be an extravagant hope. This isn't the end. Ju Guang Peak immediately became lifeless, while Qinglan Peak was filled with cheers and laughter. Countless cultivators, who had long since submitted to Nailan Fei and had not abandoned her in the face of Ju Guang Peak's oppression, celebrated together. They had already received some news from Bei Chongguang's visit, and now that they finally received confirmation, everyone was naturally overjoyed. That's great, that's great. Big Brother has become a Grand Elder of our Hunyuan Heaven sect. That's amazing. In the Zhua family courtyard, Zhui Yunqing's face was filled with joy from the bottom of his heart. Grand Elder. In Zhua Shuri's heart, elder-level figures were already extraordinary existences. He only knew that the Supreme Elder was more powerful than the elders, but he couldn't imagine how powerful the Supreme Elder was. He only knew that the Supreme Elder's status was the most respected in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Now that Xing Hui has become a Grand Elder, he should be able to go to the Jin Wu religion to propose marriage to Saintess Lai Wuyang, right? Of course, that's a Grand Elder. Our Hunyuan Heaven sect's Grand Elder status is much more important than that of the Jin Wu religion's Grand Elder. Lai Wuyang is only the vice sect master of the Jin Wu religion and has yet to inherit the sect master throne. Even if she really becomes the sect master of the Jin Wu religion, it won't be a disgrace for Big Brother to be with her. That's good, that's good. Zhuo Shiri and his wife breathed a sigh of relief. He pondered in his heart that he should go to Nailan Fei and ask Nailan Fei to urge him. At present, given Xing Hui's status, the only person who could make him listen was Nailan Fei. Chapter 270. Xing Hui, I didn't expect you to reach such a height in just a few years. It's really incredible. Qinglan Peak. In Nailan Fei's study, Nailan Fei, who was wearing a sky blue dress and exuding an elegant aura, said with a smile. Height. Xing Hui thought of his cultivation goal, which had already passed half the time, and shook his head slightly. This level is still far from my goal. The goal in your heart. Nailan Fei looked curiously at Xing Hui. What is your goal? Xing Hui shook his head. He couldn't tell Nailan Fei that his goal was to shatter the vacuum as soon as possible, find ancient god Jun's cave dwelling, and return to Earth. At that moment, someone suddenly came in and reported, Peak Master, Grand Elder, the Peak Master of Void Origin Peak wishes to see you. Peak Master of Void Origin Peak. Nailan Fei was taken aback by the guard's report. The Peak Master of Void Origin Peak was one of the forces that Nailan Fei had joined when she first joined the Hunyuan Heaven sect. But later, Nailan Fei and Fairy Baiyu had a conflict, and the Peak Master of Void Origin Peak was clearly biased towards Fairy Baiyu. This caused Nailan Fei to gradually drift away from Void Origin Peak until she established her own peak. And now, the Peak Master of Void Origin Peak had come to visit at such a time. Let him in. If he knows what's good for him, we can spare him this time. After all, you are someone who will compete for the position of sect master of the Hunyuan Heaven sect in the future. It's impossible that you don't have support among the disciples. The Peak Master of Void Origin Peak has been a Peak Master disciple for a long time and is one of the best among the Peak Master disciples. If we can annex his faction, Qinglan Peak will rise completely, and it won't be difficult for us to compete with the lower-ranked deputy sect masters. Swallow up his forces. I'm afraid the Peak Master of Void Origin Peak won't give in so easily. No, he won't. Senior Sister Nailan, don't forget that we have a huge leverage over him. Leverage. Nailan Fei's eyes lit up. The Black Hole Sutra. That's right, it's the Black Hole Scripture. With my current status as a Great Elder, there shouldn't be any problem for me to read the first few levels of the Black Hole Scripture. All I need to do is make some contributions when I come into contact with the core inheritance. As a result, the balance between me and the Peak Master of Void Origin has been broken. If he doesn't want to be severely punished for leaking the Black Hole Scripture, joining us is his only choice. You're right, especially Xing Hui. You've already become a Grand Elder of our Hunyuan Heaven sect. It's Yuan Kong's honor to have a Grand Elder as his backer. Xing Hui nodded. Let him in. With the Green Ruins order, the guard left quickly. Before long, the rather polite Peak Lord of Void Origin arrived in the study under the guard's lead. When he saw Xing Hui sitting in the study, a trace of bitterness flashed in the Sky Origin Peak Master's eyes, but he immediately stepped forward and respectfully bowed. Greetings, Great Elder. Greetings, Junior Sister Nailan. No need to be so courteous, Sky Origin Peak Master. Speaking of which, the relationship between the two of us is quite deep. Nailan Fei said with a faint smile. Seeing that Nailan Fei was so kind, the Sky Origin Peak Master felt flattered and hurriedly said, junior sister Nalan is right. The relationship between the two of us is quite deep. Since we've established a friendship, our two peaks should interact more in the future. When junior sister Nalan established the peak, I was delayed by external affairs and did not have the time to congratulate you. This is my negligence as your senior brother. Fortunately, it's not too late to send a congratulatory gift today. Junior sister Nalan has awakened the Azure Yuan bloodline. Not long ago, I specially went to Wuxia city to purchase a portion of the Azure Yuan sacred beast's blood. Although its effects cannot be compared to Essence blood, the Saint Stage Azure Yuan's blood is not bad. I hope junior sister Nalan will not dislike it. While speaking, the Sky Origin Peak Master had already stepped forward and handed over a jade bottle with both hands. Nalan Fei glanced at Tsing Hui. After Tsing Hui gave a slight nod, she stepped forward and received the jade bottle. She nodded slightly and said, "Senior brother Sky Origin Peak Master is too kind. Please take a seat." The fact that she addressed him as Sky Origin Peak Master and senior brother Sky Origin Peak Master fully demonstrated the difference between them. I wouldn't dare. Actually, I came here this time because I obtained some treasures by chance. These treasures are all Dao-carrying treasures and contain quite a lot of Dao-carrying treasures. I've heard that Great Elder Tsing Hui had exchanged level 5 or level 6 weapons for Dao-carrying treasures in the Life Moon Alliance. I also want to use these Dao-carrying treasures to ask Great Elder Tsing Hui for a level 5 low-quality divine weapon. I hope Great Elder Tsing Hui can make things easier for us on account that we belong to the same sect. As the Sky Origin Peak Master spoke, he took out a dozen or so Dao-carrying treasures of various sizes from his personal space. Of course, he didn't really need Tsing Hui to make things easier for him on account that they belonged to the same sect. After all, it wasn't difficult for a Peak Master disciple to purchase a level 5 low-quality divine weapon. When he said to make things easier for him, he was clearly trying to express his goodwill to Tsing Hui. He hoped that Tsing Hui wouldn't threaten him with the Black Hole Sutra. As for the dozen or so Dao-carrying treasures of various sizes, that was his sincerity in asking for forgiveness. Seeing these Dao-carrying treasures and the notification from the Chaos Divine Hall, Tsing Hui revealed a trace of satisfaction in his eyes. 20 Dao-carrying treasures. Dao-carrying treasures that contain 20 Dao-carrying treasures. The Void Origin Peak Master was a Divine Chi Unity Peak Master, yet he was willing to take out so many Dao-carrying treasures as an apology. He had to admit that he had done everything he could. If he could find a merchant to trade for these 20 Dao-carrying treasures, it wouldn't be difficult for him to purchase a level 6 divine weapon. Peak Master Sky Origin is very considerate. It's only a level 5 low-quality divine weapon. I can hand it over to you now. Tsing Hui nodded and kept the Dao-carrying treasures in his personal space. He then said, "Since Peak Master Sky Origin is willing to exchange Dao-carrying treasures for divine weapons, why don't we continue to work together? I will continue to exchange Dao-carrying treasures for divine weapons, but I don't have any suitable people in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. I wonder if Peak Master Sky Origin can do this for me." A trace of hesitation flashed across the Sky Origin Peak Master's heart. If he worked for Tsing Hui, he would naturally have to follow his lead in the future. Sky Origin, who wanted to compete for the Vice Sect Master's position and even the Sect Master's position in the future, was unwilling to accept this. However, when he thought of how the first Vice Sect Master, Bei Chongguang, had admitted defeat in front of Tsing Hui, and how chosen Jia Su had reached the Qingming stage, the chances of him sitting on the Sect Master's throne were 80 to 90%. Even if he broke through to the Qingming stage or even the illustrious Saint stage in the future, he might not be able to become the Hunyuan Heaven Sect Master. Rather than that, it was better to rely on a Grand Elder and obtain their protection. At the very least, he wouldn't have to worry about his safety in the future. Cho Tsing Hui was already a Grand Elder of the Hunyuan Heaven sect at such a young age. It wouldn't be difficult for him to become a saint expert in the future. Now that Cho Tsing Hui was willing to recruit him, how could he refuse? The Peak Master of Void Origin immediately bowed, "Thank you for your kindness, Great Elder. Void Origin is willing to serve the Great Elder of Qing Su. I will not hesitate to follow you wherever you go." "Very good." Tsing Hui couldn't help but be surprised to see the Sky Origin Peak Master adapt to the situation. However, Nayland Fei could understand the Sky Origin Peak Master's thoughts. If it was only the Deputy Hall Master of the Sea Suppressing Hall, Qing Su, who wanted to recruit the Sky Origin Peak Master, even if he had something on him, the Sky Origin Peak Master might not be willing to let the matter go. Even if the Sky Origin Peak Master agreed on the surface, he would definitely be up to no good behind the scenes. However, Qing Su had already stepped into the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's highest authority, the Grand Elder's Council, and had become the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's 19th Grand Elder. With such a status, even a Deputy Sect Master would have to be careful to befriend him, and numerous Hall Masters would take the initiative to pledge their allegiance to him. As a mere Peak Master, it was already extremely generous of him to be chosen by Qing Su. How could he dare to be picky? If he really did infuriate a great elder like Qing Su, there was no need for him to reveal anything that could be used against him. All he needed to do was give the order, and it would be enough to completely shut him out. He would never be able to advance in the future. "I won't be staying in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect for long. Instead, I will be going back and forth to the overseas world. Therefore, you should mainly listen to Senior Sister Nayland's orders. If I find out that you've been feigning compliance with Senior Sister Nayland's orders, don't blame me for disregarding our friendship." The Sky Origin Peak Master trembled in fear when he heard Tsing Hui call Nayland Fei Senior Sister. Nayland Fei called him Senior Brother, but Grand Elder Tsing Hui called Nayland Fei Senior Sister. If he, Sky Origin, really didn't know what was good for him and called Nayland Fei Junior Sister. Did he think he could climb above Grand Elder Tsing Hui and make Grand Elder Tsing Hui call him Senior Brother? The Sky Origin Peak Master hurriedly responded in fear, "Yes, yes, please rest assured Grand Elder Tsing Hui. If Lady Nayland has any orders, I, Sky Origin, will do my best. I won't dare to be the slightest bit negligent. Then I'll be waiting for your performance." Tsing Hui responded indifferently, setting the tone of the matter. "All right, if there's nothing else, you may leave. Remember to visit Qinglan Peak more often in the future and listen to Senior Sister Nayland's orders." "Yes, Sky Origin will definitely come to pay respects to Lady Nayland every morning." After speaking, the Sky Origin Peak Master bowed deeply again. "Sky Origin will not disturb Lady Nayland and Grand Elder any longer. I will take my leave first." Watching the Sky Origin Peak Master leave the study, Nayland Fei couldn't help but complain to Tsing Hui, "Sky Origin Peak Master was my superior back then, and I owed him a little care when I first entered the Hunyuan Heaven Sect. Look at how you scared him just now. If I didn't show my power to Sky Origin, you might not have been able to suppress him with your superior and subordinate relationship back then. Therefore, wouldn't it be better for me to deal with him once and for all while I'm still here? Everything you say makes sense. Now that everything in the Hunyuan Heaven Sect has been settled, you don't have any trouble. In addition, you're already a Grand Elder of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, and it won't be difficult for you to go to the Jin Wu religion to propose marriage. When do you plan to marry Lai Wuyang?" Tsing Hui felt a headache coming on when he heard this. He hurriedly stood up. "I suddenly remembered that I still have important matters to deal with overseas. I have to rush overseas immediately. Senior Sister Nayland, I won't stay on Qinglan Peak any longer. I'll take my leave now." Chapter 271. Tsing Hui left the Hunyuan Heaven Sect as fast as he could, and he didn't even bother to inform the Life Alliance's capable people. Fortunately, the Chaos Temple was still around, so the two sides didn't lose contact. Because he didn't travel at full speed, it was already 6 days later when Tsing Hui returned to Moon Lake Island where the Life Alliance's headquarters was located. With Tsing Hui's arrival, the Life Alliance's elders immediately rushed out to welcome him. They had already learned through various channels that Xing Hui had become the supreme elder of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and that Moon Lake Island was located in the sea region closest to the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Now that the Hunyuan Heaven sect had accepted them, the threat that Moon Lake Island faced from the 10 great sects could be said to have been reduced by half. After sending away the Life Alliance's elders, Xing Hui breathed a sigh of relief. Many trivial matters have finally been resolved, and the various troubles I face have also been eliminated one by one. Next, I can finally cultivate in peace for a period of time. Xing Hui muttered to himself. A moment later, he seemed to have thought of something. Without further delay, he flew straight to the sea region less than 8,000 kilometers away from Moon Lake Island. When he arrived at the sea region, Xing Hui directly activated the Xuanwu mark in his hand. Not long after, the sea region below rolled over and over, accompanied by circles of small tsunami-like waves spreading in all directions. The huge Xuanwu Saint Beast Hunyuan emerged from the sea. Did you call me for something? Recently, I need to make a deal with an important person on Heaven Wasteland, so I specially came here to ask if you need any materials to purchase. Xing Hui said. He still had to rely on the Class 9 Saint Beast to guard the Life Alliance's headquarters for him, and at the same time withstand the pressure from the Creative Evolved Mysterious sect in the future. Naturally, he had to build a good relationship with the Class 9 Saint Beast Xuanwu. Making a deal with a big shot from Heaven Wasteland, Hunyuan pondered for a while in an extremely human-like manner, then said, I do have what I need. If we Xuanwu people want to evolve, the best way is to absorb pre-world pure water, pre-world holy water, and even pre-world divine water. But, you have taken away all the treasures in my cave, and I don't have enough treasures to trade with you in a short period of time. Innate primordial water, innate holy water, and innate divine water were all top-notch water-attributed treasures. Even the innate primordial water, which had the lowest value, was more valuable than the Great Sun Essence and Great Sun Crystal among the 5 elemental treasures. The price of a portion of innate primordial water was probably no less than a level 9 divine weapon. Innate primordial water, Xing Hui frowned. This kind of thing was not easy to buy. It's not that there aren't any, however, it was not worth it. The price-performance ratio was too low. However, considering the fact that the Life Moon Alliance wanted to continue developing overseas, they would definitely violate the Creation Mystical Sect's plan of operating overseas. Perhaps one day, they would be targeted by the Creation Mystical Sect. Then, they would disregard the rules and the sovereignty of the sea and cross over to kill them. If it was 1 or 2 prominent divine stage experts, Xing Hui would be able to barely resist them. However, if it was a saint who stood at the pinnacle of the eastern wilderness, unless Xing Hui made another breakthrough and cultivated a divine-grade battle body, he would not be able to fight against them. At this time, the level 9 Xuanwu Haoyu's existence would be of utmost importance. Okay, I will buy a portion of innate primordial water for you. However, even if you buy it in the infinite wasteland, it will be worth at least 10 Taoist rhymes. If you are unable to pay me back, I will need you to help me kill 10 prominent divine stage experts or a saint. I can promise you that, but the human enemies I kill for you must enter the sea. If they leave the sea, don't blame me for being useless. Haoyu said. Of course, wait for my news. Xing Hui said and turned to leave. When the level 9 Saint Beast Xuanwu arrived on the continent, it was not that it did not have any battle prowess, but its battle prowess would decrease. Of course, the most important thing was that it was invincible in the sea. Once it went inland, there was a possibility that it would be besieged and killed by human experts. After all, a fully grown sacred beast was too tempting for human cultivators. If it really dared to set foot on the coast, even the Limitless Sword Sect and Creation Mysterious Sect would temporarily put aside their grudges and do their best to divide up this sacred beast that was full of treasures. This was also the reason why the level 9 Saint Beast Xuanwu would not easily step onto the continent. Xing Hui arrived at the Life League and carefully comprehended the cultivation method of the 5th level of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Although the cultivation method of the fifth level of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique was not a true inheritance, his comprehension was excellent. In addition, he had seen the true body of the divine beast Golden Crow in the sky. With the help of the various mysteries of the divine beast Golden Crow technique and the cultivation method of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique in front of him, he had already comprehended the cultivation method of the fifth level of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique. Moreover, he believed that with the cultivation method of the Great Sun Golden Crow technique that he comprehended, his cultivation efficiency would not be much slower than the true disciples of the Jin Wu religion. Primal Chaos Level, Level 28. Putting aside the Great Sun Golden Crow technique that he was comprehending, Tsing Hui glanced at the information interface of the Chaos Shrine. Without much hesitation, he added a new chaotic level to the Incarnation technique. Level 3 Incarnation Technique. Tsing Hui carefully comprehended the Incarnation technique. The effect of the Incarnation technique was similar to what he had guessed. In the case of an ordinary incarnation, he would be in a weakened state for 10 days, and it would take a month to fully recover his essence, qi, and spirit. Of course, this was only an approximate value. There might be differences, but the difference was only 1 or 2 days, so there was no need to include it in the calculation. I have to make a trip to the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce to replenish the necessary supplies. Tsing Hui muttered and immediately contacted the president of the Martial Desolate City branch of the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce, Gong Xing. Not long after, Gong Xing handed over a spiritual imprint to Tsing Hui. This spiritual imprint was a special location imprint in the Martial Desolate City branch of the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce. With the use of the Incarnation technique, the feeling of the barrier between space and time suddenly emerged. Under the power of the Incarnation technique, his thought seemed to have passed through a world of light and appeared in the Martial Desolate City branch of the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce. Greetings, Lord. Senior Dong Yang, I have been waiting for you here for many years. In the hall, a young man in the spirit refining realm and Gong Xing were waiting. The young man was naturally the cultivator who provided the spiritual imprint for Tsing Hui. With Tsing Hui's arrival, Gong Xing waved his hand and let him leave. Then, he directly said, Senior Dong Yang, I wonder if, my luck is not bad. My disciple contributed a part of the Tao carrying item for me. In addition, I also need some materials for cultivation, so I came to the Milky Way Chamber of Commerce again. Of course, if your Chamber of Commerce has any good deals, I can make a trip for you in 2 or 3 months. Tsing Hui said with a smile. Senior Dong Yang, it seems that you have accepted a good disciple. As for good deals, our Milky Way Chamber of Commerce does have one. In 3 months, a batch of goods will be sent to the Yehua continent. This continent is not far from our Tianhuang continent, about 24 million kilometers away. It has 9 Tao runes. Senior, what do you think? Okay, give it to me. In 3 months, I will contact you and ask you to provide the spiritual imprint of the person who received it. Qin Su answered. However, considering that it was only 9 Daos of ways, he still added, in the future, try your best to find locations that are further away. 9 Daos of ways. It sure is rare for me to make a trip here. Yes, yes, yes. Senior Dong Yang, don't worry, I will pay attention. I will go to the headquarters and ask them to prepare. The goods will be sent in 3 days. No hurry, I also need to buy something. I wonder if your Milky Way Chamber of Commerce sells primordial spirit qi. Primordial spirit qi. Gong Xing's face showed a trace of difficulty. Senior Dong Yang should know that primordial spirit qi is a treasure that can repair spiritual energy. It is a best-selling treasure. Apart from the ancient caves, only the Chaos Treasure Pavilion produces it. If you really want to buy it, it is usually expensive. How much is the price? Gong Xing hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and said, with my authority, I can buy it for you at the price of 19 Tao runes. 19 Tao runes, this price was much higher than the 15 Tao runes Tsing Hui had in mind. If he wanted to buy 5 strands of primordial spirit qi, it would be equivalent to spending 20 Dao runes for nothing. It would be equivalent to the Dao runes of the Void Origin Peak Master being wasted. Senior, do you need it? If you do, you have to be quick. Otherwise, I'm afraid. Give me 3 strands. 3 strands. Gong Xing's face was bitter, but he could only say, Senior, I am confident that I can buy 1 strand, but 2 strands are too much. As for 3 strands, I can only say that I will do my best. Then let's do our best. Xing Hui did not expect primordial spirit qi to be so popular. Unless he was willing to raise the price, it would not be easy to buy enough primordial spirit qi. Also, I need a portion of connate primordial water. Connate primordial water is easy. If you want to buy it, 8 Dao runes is enough. Xing Hui nodded. Go report it as soon as possible and see how much primordial spirit qi I can buy. Yes. Wait a moment. Xing Hui suddenly remembered the deal he made with Yu Yan, and said, prepare another corpse of the 4 bright bird for me. No. 2. Xing Hui estimated that Yu Yan should have more than 30 strands of Dao runes on her body. To be safe, he planned to buy 2 of the 4 bright birds' corpses. Anyway, if he did not need them, he could just find an opportunity to sell them. A Saint Level 4 bright bird's corpse was not difficult to find a buyer. At most, the amount of Dao runes he could get would not be as high as Yu Yan's. Yes. Do you have any other orders? That's all for now. In addition, there are some resources that my disciple asked me to buy. Some small items, such as 5th, 6th, and 7th level divine weapons, armors, and flying swords. I plan to buy these small items with a total of 10 Daoist rhymes. As for how to distribute them, you can decide. Yes, I will go and prepare it. Xing Hui nodded. After Gong Xing left, he turned his attention to Qianxiong. According to Gong Xing, if he wanted to buy the primordial spirit qi at a discounted price, it would not be easy. Therefore, he might as well go to Qianxiong and try. Anyway, Qianxiong Master already knew about his chaotic level. If Qianxiong Master wanted to do something to him, he would have done it long ago. He did not have to worry too much about going to Qianxiong Master in the form of a clone. Chapter 272. Xiao. Xing Hui's figure appeared in the Sky Dome realm. After pondering for a while, Xing Hui did not go directly to the Sky Dome realm. Instead, he went directly to the Book Creation Hall of Zhangzhen Venerable. The person in charge of the Book Creation Hall was still the little girl Yuling. Seeing Xing Hui's arrival, she asked for instructions from Zhangzhen Venerable and brought Xing Hui to Zhangzhen Venerable's study room. Is there anything? If there is a problem with your cultivation, I can't help you. You should look for Zhuzhao Venerable. Zhangzhen Venerable saw Xing Hui and asked. Yuling was envious of Zhangzhen Venerable's proactive tone. Even though she had been serving Zhangzhen Venerable all these years, she had never received such treatment as a direct disciple. It's not related to cultivation. I just want to know if I can buy primordial spirit qi from the Sky Dome realm. Primordial spirit qi, the Venerable Master Zhangzhen glanced at Qing Su and frowned. You're currently at a crucial moment in your cultivation. Tempering yourself is already quite effective in tempering the mind, so isn't it a little too much of a waste if you use the qi of your soul? Time does not wait for me. I hope Zhangzhen Venerable can fulfill my wish. Seeing how determined Qing Su was, Zhangzhen the Venerable Master could not help but sigh. You've gone from the spirit refining realm to the Qingming realm in just a few years. Your cultivation has improved by leaps and bounds. If you progress too quickly, it won't be of any benefit to your future cultivation. However, since you've forced yourself to ask, then I'll tell you. The Yuan Shen Qi in Sky Dome is not limitless. Priority is given to the core members first, then to the Refining God Pavilion, then to the council members, then to the high-ranking members, official members, and outer members. As for the price, it varies as well. For example, even if an outer member has the right to purchase it, you'll need 21 or 22 daos. Then, is there any primordial spirit chi for sale in the Sky Dome realm? If a high-level member wants to buy it, how much is it? High-level member. Songjin the Exalted was slightly startled. Then, he seemed to check the information with his authority. After a while, he suddenly realized, Sangqiong actually promoted your authority to a high-level member. That's rare. If it's a high-ranking member, let me see. 18 Taoist rhymes is enough. However, he's only allowed to buy one strand. If he wants to buy a second strand, he'll have to pay 20 Taoist rhymes. So on and so forth. Every additional strand of primordial spirit aura will cost 2 more Taoist rhymes. Currently, we have 20 strands of primordial spirit aura in the Vault of Heaven. If you want to replenish it, you'll have to wait until the annual Chaos Treasure Pavilion opens in 8 months. The first wave is 18 Taoist rhymes, the second wave is 20 Taoist rhymes. Xing Hui calculated for a while and had a plan in his mind. Thank you for your explanation, Master Cangzhen. I will go to the exclusive mountain to buy it now. Wait a minute. Cangzhen said, if you really need it, I'll use my identity to get 3 for you. I can buy the first 3 for 15 Dao ripples. 15 Dao runes, it was a huge discount. Upon hearing this, Xing Hui did not refuse. He just bowed respectfully, thank you for your kindness, Master Cangzhen. Sigh. Have you gone to see Master Zhuzhao recently? I saw him not long ago. Sun Qiong was also there at that time, and he promoted my authority to a high-level member. Upon hearing this, Cangzhen the Exalted looked a little more spirited. In that case, you should visit Master Zhuzhao more often. Go now. Now. Of course. It's best to visit Master Zhuzhao every month. Master Zhuzhao is the strongest person in our Vault of Heaven, and he has awakened the Torch Dragon bloodline. It's not wrong to have a good relationship with him. This. Okay, upon seeing Cangzhen the Exalted look, Xing Hui could only agree. Go, go. Yes. Qing Su answered and left the Venerable Master Cangzhen's scripture hall. However, even after leaving the scripture creation hall, he still felt that he was being watched by someone else. It did not go away for a long time. Obviously, Zunjin Shangren was not at ease and had been staring at him. It seemed that he would only stop after he went to visit the Firmament Master and Zhu Zhao Master. Helpless, Xing Hui could only contact Master Zhu Zhao. After waiting for a while, the surrounding environment suddenly changed, and the feeling of being watched by others quickly dissipated. Pak Hui, is there anything you don't understand about your cultivation? Master Zhu Zhao asked. Sun Qiong was still beside him. The two of them were playing chess on a huge chessboard, as if they had been playing since ancient times. This, Xing Hui could not say that he was forced to meet Master Zhu Zhao, could he? After pondering for a while, he immediately thought of some strange things about himself. Now that Master Zhu Zhao was still there, he simply asked, Master, when I was comprehending the Torch Dragon bloodline and the sword essence on the light condensing sword, I seemed to have a little understanding. Not only did my sword essence reach the small success realm, but I also faintly cultivated a special secret method. However, this secret method seems to have nothing to do with the Torch Dragon bloodline. I don't know if it's good or bad. Today, I came here to ask Master Zhu Zhao to give me some advice. Oh. Sword essence. Release your sword essence and let me feel it. Master Zhu Zhao said calmly. Yes, Master. Qing Su did not say anything about the abbot being careful. The sword intent he had comprehended through the special effect of his level 5 comprehension was like a firefly compared to the moon in the abyssal mental world of the Reverend Zhu Zhao. They could not be compared at all. Even the secret technique of the sword intent could not make up for the huge difference between them. As Tsing Hui released his sword essence, a spiritual impact that was mixed with a mysterious and obscure aura suddenly blasted Master Zhu Zhao's mind. After a while, Master Zhu Zhao closed his eyes as if he was carefully feeling something. Qing Su stood to one side as well. He waited quietly without saying anything. The atmosphere in the hall was silent. On the other hand, Master Firmament could not help but feel surprised when he saw that Master Zhu Zhao actually used his heart to comprehend the sword essence that Tsing Hui had created. It should be noted that with Master Zhu Zhao's cultivation and understanding of the Torch Dragon bloodline, he could almost see through any magical power changes related to the Torch Dragon bloodline at a glance. Even Ancestor Pessoa, a powerful figure who had cultivated a magical power, was no exception. Master Zhu Zhao actually carefully comprehended the sword essence that Tsing Hui had comprehended by himself, which was simply incredible to him. This sword essence, after a while, Master Zhu Zhao opened his eyes, which were full of surprise. What a magical sword essence! Master Firmament heard Master Zhu Zhao's comment and could not help but look at Tsing Hui. After glancing at him, he turned to Master Zhu Zhao. Magical? He's just a junior in the green netherworld realm, but the sword essence secret technique that he comprehended is magical. It's really magical. At first glance, his sword essence secret technique seems rather crude, but the direction of its evolution is extremely magical. It's even more magical than the path that I took in the past. Back then, I took the path of using the Torch Dragon bloodline and the Great Sun True God's power to control light, to deprive others of their perception of the outside world. However, his sword essence seems to have gone beyond the scope of depriving others of their perception with the power of light. Instead, it's more like freezing people's thoughts. Master Zhu Zhao said and nodded vigorously. That's right. It's freezing people's thoughts. His sword essence secret technique has the effect of freezing people's thoughts. Huh. It's actually. Master Firmament's eyes widened slightly. With his experience, he naturally understood what kind of power this secret technique would have if it was real. Freezing people's thoughts, even if it was only for a moment, could easily determine the outcome of a life-and-death battle for those peak experts. This sword essence, no wonder Venerable Zhu Zhao used the word mystical to describe it. Pak Hui, how did you comprehend this sword essence? Even the real divine beast, the Torch Dragon, doesn't have the ability to freeze people's thoughts. Tsing Hui had been working hard in the direction of freezing time back then. From what he knew about the history of the Torch Dragon, apart from being the Great Sun True God, the divine beast was also the guardian of the space-time order and controlled the space-time energy. However, this understanding was based on the description of the Torch Dragon in Earth's mythology. He could not explain this to Master Zhu Zhao at all. In the end, he could only say, when I increased my comprehension to stage 5, there was a change in my inspiration. Countless sparks of inspiration appeared all of a sudden. Moreover, Master Zhu Zhao's sword essence of the light condensation sword is unusual. I don't know why I condensed this magical sword essence. When Master Firmament heard this, he immediately clapped his hands and laughed. He actually comprehended the sword intent of the light condensation sword that you left behind, Zhu Zhao. Moreover, compared to the sword intent of the light condensation sword that you left behind, it's even better. He's really talented. Master Zhu Zhao looked at Tsing Hui with a hint of struggle in his heart. Tsing Hui's talent had indeed moved his heart. However, when he thought about the thoughts of Master Zhangzhen and the fact that he had clearly stated that he would never accept Tsing Hui as his disciple, even if he was faintly moved, he could not do such a thing that would go back on his words. In the end, he could only say, Tsing Hui, you obviously have your own unique understanding of the Torch Dragon bloodline. In terms of sword essence, I can't give you much help. As he spoke, he directly clenched his hand. Immediately, a stream of light broke through the air from the direction of the God Refinement Pavilion and landed in Master Zhu Zhao's hand. Seeing the stream of light in Master Zhu Zhao's hand, Tsing Hui's eyes narrowed slightly. Light condensation sword? Yes, it's the light condensation sword. Master Zhu wiped his hand on the sword. With a flash of light, a layer of seal had been added to the powerful sword essence in the light condensation sword. Only 10% or 20% of it escaped. This light condensation sword records all my understanding of the other path of the torch dragon bloodline. I've added seals to all the sword essences, so they won't cause you any harm. You can carefully comprehend the changes in them. I hope that one day, you can walk out a path that completely belongs to you and even set foot on the peak. Xing Hui looked at the light condensation sword. This divine weapon was no longer as simple as a divine weapon. It represented the inheritance of Master Zhu, who stood at the peak of the world. Its value could not be measured by money. With this sword, although he and Master Zhu were not master and disciple, they were already master and disciple in reality. With caution, Qing Su went up and bowed towards the exalted Zhu Zhao slowly. "Thank you, exalted one. I won't let you down. I'll open up a new path in this thorny area." Chapter 273. This sword was made by the Divine Blessing technique when I reached the Gold Core realm at the 4th level of the Saint realm. It has a special meaning to me. It has been covered in dust in the Refining God Pavilion for a long time. Today, it finally welcomes its true owner. As Master Zhu spoke, he wiped the sword with his hand. Suddenly, the golden color on the light condensation sword fell off, revealing the frost-like sword body. Soon, the sword body was completely revealed. The cold light dissipated. The sword body looked invisible, as if it did not exist. However, a biting cold aura rose from the sword. Even though Xing Hui only sensed it slightly, he could feel the suffocating and terrifying sharpness in the sword. This sword, looking at the sword, Xing Hui could not help but think of one of the 10 divine swords of ancient Wuxia. Shadow Bearing. Shadow Bearing. The name of the sword was Light Condensation. Its name came from the fact that it had the ability to absorb light. Even though the sword was held in a person's hand, due to its unique setting and its ability to absorb light, outsiders would not be able to see where the sword was. The light condensation sword, looking at the shadow-bearing sword slowly being pulled out from Master Zhu's hand, Master Tsang Qiong could not help but look nostalgic. He seemed to be recalling the time when he and his brothers had just founded Tsang Qiong. This magic weapon. I'm afraid it's of an extraordinary level. The light condensation sword has reached the 12th level and can be called a top divine weapon. If it's a 13th level supreme treasure, it belongs to the category of divine weapons. Master Zhu looked at the light condensation sword in his hand with a trace of nostalgia in his eyes. This sword is still filled with the sword essence I left behind. When you can completely understand the sword essence in it, you will naturally be able to master this divine sword and show its sharpness again. I hope you won't bring shame to this divine sword when the time comes. Senior, don't worry. One day, I will let this divine sword's fame spread across Tianhuang region. Master Zhu nodded. When the time comes, I will ask someone to give this sword to you. This divine sword, remnant sword, has been begging you for more than 10 years. I didn't expect that in the end, it would be taken advantage of by this boy, Master Tsang Qiong said with a smile. Remnant sword, his direction is not suitable for this light condensation sword. Master Zhu said. That's true, those few most outstanding disciples of yours. Just as Venerable Master Tsang Zhen was about to say something, he seemed to have received another message. He said doubtfully, "What the hell is Tsang Zhen doing? He actually wants 3 strands of qi of primordial spirit." Although the effects of the primordial spirit qi were not bad, for a cultivator of his level, it was not very useful. At most, it had a good recovery effect and the soul was injured. He had not been injured recently, right? Why don't you leave the primordial spirit qi here and give it to the juniors who need it more? When Xing Hui heard this, he quickly added, "Venerable Master, this this is the 3 strands of qi of essence that I need. I borrowed from Venerable Master Tsang to buy these 3 strands of qi of essence to temper my spirit and prepare for charging into the prominent divine stage in the future. You. Hearing those words, the Firmament Master nodded his head and said, "All right, I'll approve it then. I'll see when someone will head to that area and have them bring it over." Before Venerable Master Tsang could finish his words, Tsing had already hurriedly said, "I can bring it over myself, and I have an avatar in Wasteland City in the Infinite Wasteland region." Venerable Master Tsang was stunned, and then he frowned. "You can bring it over yourself? You actually upgraded your personal space to the 5th stage. It's a waste for you to upgrade your personal space to the 5th stage. It's better for you to focus on upgrading one of your characteristics to the 10th stage and cause it to undergo a second mutation." Tsing Hui could not help but be at a loss for words. On the other hand, Master Zhu Zhao said, "If it's the 5th stage, then so be it. Any ability of the Son of Chaos will have incredible mysteries when it reaches the 5th stage, and the personal space is no exception. Didn't you upgrade your personal space to the 10th stage because you're aiming for the legendary realm where you can create a world with a thought? It's said that a 10th stage personal space can naturally allow you to step into that realm. I'm still thousands of miles away from that realm, and I don't even know if I have any hope of stepping into that realm in this lifetime. I upgraded my personal space to the 10th stage because I was ignorant and young. If I could do it all over again, I would definitely waste a second level of chaos on my personal space." Venerable Master Zhu Zhao heard this and smiled. "I still believe that none of the many abilities of the Son of Chaos are of little value. At most, it's just that we haven't upgraded them high enough, or that we haven't reached the corresponding realm to be able to unleash their additional effects. I hope so." As Venerable Master Tsang spoke, he turned to Tsing Hui. "Even if you can send down an avatar now, it's probably the weakest one. It's really hard for you to come here. In that case, I'll send one of my disciples to Wasteland City. You can just wait there for a while." "Thank you for your understanding, Venerable Master Tsang. It's fine. Is there anything else?" "No, I won't disturb the 2 of you any longer. Pak Hui will take her leave." Tsing Hui cupped his hands together. Venerable Master Tsang waved his hand. As the surrounding environment changed drastically, he landed on the public square outside the Book Creation Hall. Tsing Hui didn't stay in the Book Creation Hall for long. He immediately left the Sky Dome realm and returned to the resting place arranged by Gong Xing of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. Standing on the 2nd floor, Tsing Hui looked down. In the entire martial desolate city, the cultivation level could be said to be extremely high. On the streets of the Eastern Wasteland, the Divine Qi Unity Stage experts, who could be considered experts of a region, could be seen everywhere. Even in the Hunyuan Heaven sect, there was no lack of prominent Divine Stage experts who could aspire for the position of Supreme Elder. Most importantly, the most important thing was that Saint Stage experts like Gong Xing were sitting in the main hall. Compared to prominent Saint Stage experts, first-layer True Origin Stage experts didn't have much of an increase in strength. However, because their true Qi had condensed into True Origin, their quantity had greatly increased. This allowed them to manifest their saint body for a long period of time. Even so, a Saint Stage expert could match up to 5 or 6 prominent Saint Stage experts. If a prominent Saint Stage expert wanted to surround and kill a Saint Stage expert, it would often take a dozen people to have any hope of success. If it was a one-on-one battle, a Saint Stage expert only needed to endure the duration of the prominent Saint Stage expert's saint body to easily defeat him. This was the biggest difference between the Saint Stage and the prominent Saint Stage. In order to fight against Saint Stage experts, prominent Saint Stage experts have thought of ways to create powerful one-hit kill secret arts and sword arts. For example, the Sword of the Glorious Sun that Sword Master Bai Heng taught me can be said to be a typical one-hit kill technique. This kind of ultimate move that consumes one's strength in an instant often has an extraordinary effect on Saint Stage experts. It allows some prominent Saint stage experts to often be able to counterattack and defeat true Origin stage experts in a one-on-one battle. Of course, Saint stage cultivators aren't fools. In response to prominent Saint stage experts' research on one-hit kill secret arts, they have also spent a great deal of effort on movement techniques in order to avoid the opponent's killing blow and secure victory. Therefore, at this stage, techniques have a crucial effect on a cultivator's battle strength. Xing Hui muttered to himself. He couldn't help but have the thought of cultivating a movement technique. In terms of attack, the Sword of the Glorious Sun was enough. This sword art was created by Sword Master Baiheim, and its power was directly linked to one's cultivation level. It was equivalent to using all one's strength and then detonating it through a special method. When Xing Hui was at the Spirit and Qi Unity stage, he had once used the Sword of the Glorious Sun to unleash an attack that wasn't inferior to the Eternal Blazing Sunday. Such a sword art could be said to be one of the best in the entire Tianhuang region. Currently, he had only reached the small success stage of this sword art and had yet to reach the great success stage. The Hunyuan Heaven Sect Xiang Tianqing is the best short-distance teleportation technique. Not long ago, when I fought with Elder Qin Zhen, I suffered a great loss under Elder Qin Zhen's Xiang Tianqing secret technique. However, Elder Qin Zhen's Tianping sacred body is more or less related to the Kunping bloodline. Although Xiang Tianqing can display astonishing power in his hands, it may not be the same in my hands. If I really need a secret technique, I have to work on the Golden Crow bloodline. Xing Hui's Great Sun Golden Crow technique had a magical effect at every stage. At the third stage, he could cultivate the Scarlet Crow spirit, at the fourth stage, he could form Golden Crow wings, and at the fifth stage, he could refine the Eternal Blazing Sunday. As for the sixth stage, it was naturally the magical transformation of the Golden Crow sacred body. However, different cultivation techniques contain different magical powers, which gave rise to different kinds of techniques. The Great Sun Golden Crow technique did not have any secret techniques that could increase one's speed, but that did not mean that other techniques did not. The Golden Crow bloodline is one of the most commonly used divine beast bloodlines in the world, and the cultivation techniques passed down are not as limited as the Torch Dragon bloodline. There are only a few types of cultivation techniques, but there are more than 10 types of cultivation techniques for the Golden Crow bloodline. I will choose one to comprehend. If I don't cultivate a cultivation technique and focus on a secret technique, it will certainly make up for this drawback. In this way, even if I encounter cultivators who are proficient in speed and want to use delaying techniques to avoid my Saint technique, I will be able to advance and retreat freely. With this plan in mind, Xing Hui left his room and looked for Gong Xing again. Gong Xing was receiving an important guest, but when he heard Xing Hui's summons, he did not dare to not come. He quickly cupped his hands and greeted, "Elder Dongyang, do you have any instructions for me? I don't cultivate the Golden Crow bloodline, but I have heard that cultivators of the Golden Crow bloodline have mastered several teleportation techniques that are extremely fast. I wonder if the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce has a collection of similar techniques. Teleportation techniques of the Golden Crow bloodline." Gong Xing pondered for a moment, then quickly calculated something and said, "Elder, although the bloodline of the Golden Crow has a good movement technique, due to its limitations, it can't be compared to the movement technique of the Kunping bloodline. Therefore, although our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce has collected a lot of movement techniques related to the bloodline of the Golden Crow, their grades are not high. There are only two kinds of movement techniques that are useful to powerful people, and they are difficult to cultivate." Obviously, in his mind, Dong Yang was at least a powerful figure, and ordinary movement techniques were probably not of his interest. "Pick out the 10 movement techniques that you think are the best and show them to me." "Yes, I will prepare them." Chapter 274. Gong Xing did not dare to delay since Xing Hui had personally instructed him. In less than half an hour, the 10 body traversing techniques had already appeared in front of Xing Hui. Xing Hui looked through the 10 body traversing techniques one by one. It had to be said that compared to the Kunpeng bloodline, the Golden Crow bloodline's traversing technique was indeed inferior. For example, the skyward traversing technique, which could be cultivated at the 4th level of the Black Hole Sutra, could be cultivated at a speed of 100 meters in the blink of an eye. Among the 10 body traversing techniques of the Golden Crow bloodline, the fastest one was called the traversing golden light technique, which could only be cultivated at the level of spirit and chi unison. However, the speed of the first level of this technique was only comparable to his 9th grade flying sword, and it consumed a lot of vital energy. Xing Hui flipped through and considered for a long time. Since he could not obtain a better traversing technique, he could only return his attention to the traversing golden light technique. The traversing golden light technique has a total of 6 changes. Starting from the level of spirit and chi unison, each change corresponds to a level of the practitioner. At the 6th level, one needs to cultivate it in the never-ending realm. This secret technique is compatible with the endless vital energy of the never-ending realm, and it can be compared to a 12th grade flying sword at full speed. Of course, this is only a short burst of speed. If one were to travel a long distance, even a saint in the never-ending realm would not be able to withstand such a huge expenditure of vital energy. Xing Hui had no choice but to choose this traversing technique. As long as he did not encounter a practitioner who had awakened the Kunpeng bloodline, he would still have a certain advantage in terms of speed. However, for some reason, when he decided to truly cultivate this secret technique, Xing Hui felt as if he had overlooked something important, and there was always a sense of unease in his heart. At his current level of cultivation, although he did not dare to say that he had the ability to predict the future, it could be said that he was prompted by a whim. In the end, Xing Hui patiently continued to focus on the 10 traversing techniques. After flipping through, this time, Xing Hui's gaze suddenly stopped on one of the 2 secret techniques that could be cultivated to the transcendent realm. Golden Light Technique. The art of golden light was not slow at all. In fact, it was only slightly slower than the art of golden light. However, it was extremely difficult to cultivate. It required one to have perfect control over one's shinchi, or else it would be impossible to even begin cultivating it. However, the main reason why Xing Hui suddenly set his eyes on this unhindered secret technique was because it had 9 stages. If these 9 stages could be cultivated to perfection, there was a small chance of awakening a divine ability called the Rainbow Transformation Technique. It was recorded in this secret book that even though there were people who had cultivated the Golden Light Technique to perfection, no one had ever awakened the Rainbow Transformation Technique. Over time, this golden light technique gradually became common to everyone. Rainbow Transformation Technique? Xing Hui muttered to himself. If he remembered correctly, in the mythological history of the ancient country of Wuxia, there was a powerful person who cultivated a secret technique called the Rainbow Transformation Technique. Relying on this technique, he could be said to be unrivaled in the world. He was faintly praised as the #1 flying technique in the ancient myths. Thinking of this, Xing Hui's gaze could not help but fall on the art of golden light. The art of golden light was not easy to cultivate. However, if one was able to cultivate it, it was only slightly weaker than the art of golden light. As long as one did not face a cultivator who cultivated the bloodline of the Kunpeng, he would not be at a disadvantage in terms of movement techniques. In today's world, although there were many people who cultivated the bloodline of the Kunpeng, those who were able to cultivate the bloodline of the Kunpeng to a certain extent and reach the vision divine realm could be counted on one's fingers. If Xing Hui really chose to cultivate this secret technique, he only needed to avoid these few top experts and still be able to maintain his arrogance. The most important thing was, the Rainbow Transformation Technique was the #1 unrivaled technique in the ancient myths. Xing Hui had a natural sense of familiarity with this name. In addition, it was said that the powerful person who cultivated this Rainbow Transformation Technique was also a great Sun Golden Crow. Xing Hui immediately came to a decision. Although the art of golden light is difficult to cultivate, there are a few people who have cultivated it. However, these people did not awaken the rainbow transformation technique when they were in the divine realm. I want to try and see if I can derive the rainbow transformation technique when I have cultivated the divine ability. Tsing Hui muttered to himself. The art of golden light was a cultivation technique in the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce and was not cheap. Even if it was exchanged for separately, Tsing Hui still spent a total of 12 Taoist rhymes to exchange for it. Thus, another day of waiting. Early the next morning, Gong Xing had already arrived in front of Tsing Hui's courtyard and reported somewhat anxiously, "Senior Dong Yang, I'm really sorry. Due to the shortage of primordial spirit qi, in the end, I was only able to apply for 2 strands of primordial spirit qi for you, which requires a total of 38 Taoist rhymes." 2 strands it is. Tsing Hui nodded. He had bought 3 strands of primordial spirit qi from Sky Dome for 45 Taoist rhymes. With these 2 strands of primordial spirit qi, he now had 5 strands of primordial spirit qi. With the 5 strands of primordial spirit qi and the sword intent pressure of the broken sword, there was a great hope for his mental strength to reach 70. When his mental strength reached 70, he could use the torch dragon blood to raise his cultivation to the peak of the green netherworld realm in one go. If it went well, the remaining torch dragon blood might be able to help him go one step further and condense the torch dragon divine body, thus stepping into the prominent divine realm in one go. "President, there is a person outside the door who said that he was ordered by Sky Dome Master to deliver supplies." At this moment, a guard suddenly reported from outside the door. "Sky Dome Master." Gong Xing was slightly startled when he heard this name. He seemed to feel that it was somewhat familiar, but he could not recall it for a moment. However, after a moment, he suddenly woke up and could not help but step forward and ask the guard, "What did you say?" "Sky Dome Master." The leader of Sky Dome, one of the top 10 chaos organizations in the Chaos Temple, Sky Dome Master. How could such a great figure standing at the top of the world be involved with our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce? The guard did not know how to answer for a moment. Quickly welcome him." Gong Xing did not expect the guard to be able to answer this question. At this moment, his heart was quickly burning with passion. Since Sky Dome Master has sent someone here, we must greet him as soon as possible. If we can establish a relationship with such a great figure and develop business, for a president of a martial desolate city branch, it is simply, "President Gong Xing, Sky Dome Master should be here to deliver the goods for me." Tsing Hui stepped forward and said. Hearing Tsing Hui's words, Gong Xing was slightly startled, and then his pupils shrank. "Senior Dong Yang, Sky Dome Master is." Tsing Hui nodded. "I need a lot of primordial spirit qi, and 2 strands of primordial spirit qi from the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce were obviously not enough to satisfy me, so I went to Sky Dome Master to buy primordial spirit qi. After Sky Dome Master learned about it, he gave me 3 strands of primordial spirit qi. I thought it would take a day or 2 for the goods to be delivered, but Sky Dome Master delivered them now. Speaking of which, Sky Dome Master's primordial spirit qi is cheaper than the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce's. I bought the 3 strands of primordial spirit qi from Sky Dome Master for only 45 Taoist rhymes. Gong Xing sucked in a breath of cold air when he heard that. Dong Yang was able to talk to one of the leaders of Heaven's Vault, Master Heaven's Vault, and even made Master Heaven sell him 3 strands of primordial spirit qi for 45 Taoist rhymes. Even the core members of Sky Dome Master would only be able to buy primordial spirit qi at a discounted price of 15 Taoist rhymes. The Galaxy Chamber of Commerce was very familiar with the 10 core members of Sky Dome Master, and there was definitely no one like Dong Yang. A person who was not a core member of Sky Dome Master was able to make Sky Dome Master value him so much that he was willing to sell him 3 strands of primordial spirit qi for 45 Taoist rhymes. What kind of status did he have? He had to be at least on the same level as Sky Dome Master, right? Thinking of this, Gong Xing's heart trembled. This news had to be reported to the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce as soon as possible. It was a great opportunity for the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce that such a giant could be on good terms with them. If they could recruit such a giant to become a consecrator of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, not to mention the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, even the forces behind them would benefit greatly. Thinking of this, Gong Xing hurriedly said, "Senior, do you still need more primordial spirit chi? If you need more, I can apply for it for you. Because you need it so urgently, I can only get you 2 strands of primordial spirit chi in a short time. If you're willing to wait a little longer, even if you need 3, 4, or 5 strands of primordial spirit chi, I'm confident that I can get it for you." Xing Hui looked at Gong Xing, who had suddenly become more enthusiastic, and felt a little strange, but he still said, "I have enough primordial spirit chi for now. If I need more, I'll come to the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce to buy it again." "Yes, yes, yes. If you need more in the future, please let us know in advance. The Galaxy Chamber of Commerce will do our best to satisfy your request." Xing Hui nodded and followed the guard to the hall. In the hall, a middle-aged man at the 4th layer of the Saint Realm, who had reached the Gold Core Realm, was waiting. When he saw Xing Hui, he was slightly startled. Xing Hui stepped forward, pinched a seal corresponding to the one used by Firmament Master, and said, "The goods that Firmament Master asked you to send should be handed over to me. Thank you for your trouble." The middle-aged man obviously saw that Xing Hui was in the incarnation technique, and his originally indifferent and faintly arrogant expression immediately disappeared. He respectfully said, "Greetings, Senior. You're too polite. It's Long Xing's honor to be able to deliver these treasures for Senior. Please verify if they are authentic." Xing Hui nodded and took something that looked like a sword case from the middle-aged man. As he opened the sword case, the first thing he saw was the crystal treasure box at the bottom of the sword case. There was a purple light flowing inside, and it contained the 3 strands of primordial spirit chi. However, compared to the 3 strands of primordial spirit chi that Xing Hui was looking at, Long Xing, who didn't know what kind of treasure he had sent, couldn't help but widen his eyes the moment he opened the sword case. He exclaimed, "Light congealing sword. This is the light congealing sword. Light congealing sword." Gong Xing, who was stretching his neck to look curiously in the direction of the sword case, was slightly startled when he heard the words, "Light congealing sword." Then, when he thought of the invincible person behind this level 12 divine weapon, his breathing suddenly stopped. Candlelight. The number 1 expert in the firmament realm. A supreme existence that surpassed the saint realm and stepped into the divine realm. Chapter 275. The Light Coagulation Sword. Xing Hui held the light coagulation sword in his hand. Even though he was only in his incarnation form, and his cultivation was only as weak as an awakening realm cultivator, he could still feel the earth-shattering sword intent contained within this peerless divine sword when he touched it. It really is the light coagulation sword of the esteemed Zhu Zhao. Long Xing's eyes were filled with shock. The light coagulation sword. It was a legendary divine sword that esteemed Zhu Zhao Shangren's most outstanding disciples had begged him several times, but they had never been able to obtain it. Those outstanding disciples, without exception, had all cultivated magical powers, stepped onto the peak of Heaven Wasteland region, and became famous almighty experts of Heaven Wasteland region. Now, the light coagulation sword that even these people could not ask for was given to this mysterious expert in front of him by the esteemed Zhu Zhao. This mysterious expert was obviously not the esteemed Zhu Zhao's disciple. If there was such an almighty's disciple, everyone in the world would have found out. He was not the esteemed Zhu Zhao's disciple, but he could borrow the light coagulation sword from the esteemed Zhu Zhao's disciple. At least, this senior who had appeared in his clone form was at least an invincible giant who was on equal footing with his master, the Firmament Master. Without this identity, status, and strength, it was impossible for the esteemed Zhu Zhao to take him seriously. When he thought of this, Long Xing looked at Xing Hui with even more respect. Gong Xing had the same thought as Long Xing. Gong Xing felt his palm sweating as he looked at Dong Yang, who was holding the light coagulation sword. This was the first time he knew that Senior Dong Yang had such a terrifying background. It was ridiculous that he had treated Senior Dong Yang as an ordinary almighty. How could someone who was on equal footing with the Firmament Master and the esteemed Zhu Zhaoan not hesitate to lend or give him the famous sword be as simple as an ordinary almighty? Report to the headquarters. Report to the headquarters immediately. He had to report this matter to the headquarters as soon as possible so that the headquarters would send an almighty figure to personally receive Senior Dong Yang. Only then would Senior Dong Yang's identity not be disgraced. As expected of the famous divine sword that exalted Zhu Zhao spoke of. If I can comprehend the sword intent within it, it will definitely be of great help to my torch dragon path. Tsing Hui felt the light concentrating sword for a moment and praised from the bottom of his heart. The words "make up for my torch dragon Dao" made the hearts of Long Xing, Gong Xing, and the others tremble again. The senior in front of him was already an invincible existence who had created his own path. Even exalted Zhu Zhao's understanding and experience of the torch dragon bloodline could only be used as a reference and not qualified to learn it. When did such a terrifying almighty appear on planet Tianhuang? How could they not have made the slightest sound before this? While Long Xing and Gong Xing were still in shock, Tsing Hui put the light concentrating sword and the 3 wisps of primordial spirit qi into his personal space. Then, he said to Gong Xing, "I can't wait to comprehend exalted Zhu Zhao's understanding of the torch dragon bloodline. I wonder when the other things I need will be here. His Excellency Wu Chu is already on the way to deliver them. If Senior needs them urgently, I will immediately ask the Almighty of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce to deliver them personally." Gong Xing said respectfully and couldn't help but lower his waist a little. "Since they're already here, there's no need." Tsing Hui said, "I'll wait here." After that, he counted out the items that contained 45 Taoist rhymes and handed them to Long Xing. "Thank exalted Zhu Zhao and Heavenly Firmament Master for me. I understand. If Senior doesn't have any other instructions, I'll take my leave first." Long Xing said carefully in front of Tsing Hui. When he saw this saint who had already reached the Golden Core realm and was most likely at the 10th level of the Chaotic realm respectfully refer to him as a junior, a strong sense of dissonance filled Qing Su's heart once more. A 4th level saint, Golden Core realm saint. Even if he didn't have the divine art that a 10th level son of chaos should have, this ability was enough to suppress the entire eastern wilderness. Even the strongest person in the eastern wilderness wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow from him. Even if all the experts in the eastern wilderness swarmed up against him, it was very likely that they would be defeated one by one. After all, he was someone who was always by exalted Zhu Zhao's side. How could he not have any divine weapons with him? It wouldn't be strange even if he took out a 12th level divine weapon in a fight. But now, such a peak-level expert kept bowing to him as a junior and addressing him as a senior. If this were to spread, it would be enough to shock everyone in the eastern wilderness. However, he was still pretending to be an almighty in front of Gong Xing, so he didn't want to give himself away. Therefore, even if he wasn't used to it, he had to continue pretending. He just nodded and said calmly, "Go. I'll take my leave." Long Xing bowed again and quickly leaped up. Not long after, he disappeared into the horizon. Wu Chu turned back to look in the direction Long Xing left with a trace of surprise. After a while, he turned to Gong Xing and said, "Who is that expert just now? I felt a huge and terrifying aura from him. If I'm not wrong, he has at least cultivated saint-grade vital essence. That's an expert from Sky Vault." Gong Xing glanced at Tsing Hui. Seeing that Tsing Hui didn't seem to have any intention of hiding anything, he answered truthfully, "This Sky Vault expert was ordered by exalted Zhu Zhao to deliver supplies to Senior Dong Yang, in case Senior Dong Yang needs to make another trip to Sky Vault." Sky Vault. Leader of Sky Vault, exalted Zhu Zhao. When Wu Chu heard Gong Xing's words, his eyes widened in shock. After a while, he said with some reverence, yes, only a big shot like Senior Dong Yang can be acquainted with exalted Zhu Zhao. It's extremely difficult for us to even meet such an existence that stands at the top of heaven desolate region. Tsing Hui didn't explain, so as not to make any mistakes. He just asked, have you brought the things I want? We naturally don't dare to be careless with Senior Dong Yang's things. Please check it. As Gong Xing spoke, he came to a relatively spacious area in the courtyard, and took out the 10-meter-long four-eyed bird's corpse. As Senior said, we have brought 2 four-eyed bird corpses. One is at the 9th level, the other at the 10th level. Is Senior satisfied? A level 10 sacred beast. Qing Su frowned when he heard that. The level was a little high. He reckoned that in the eyes of the Galaxy Commerce's people, even if he wanted a four-eyed bird's corpse, he would have picked a high-level one. If it wasn't for the fact that they were worried that the price of a level 11 four-eyed bird's corpse would be a level higher, they would have even thought of ways to obtain a level 11 or even a level 12 four-eyed bird's corpse. A level 9 or 10 four-eyed bird is enough. In fact, I originally planned to have a level 7 or level 8 four-eyed bird's corpse. Then, Senior, why don't you wait a few days, and we can go back and see if we can get a level 9 or level 10 four-eyed bird's corpse from the other branches. No need, these 2 will do. What's the price? 2 four-eyed bird corpses, plus, Wu Chu was about to quote a price, but Gong Xing beat him to it. Last night, I already calculated the price. 2 sacred beast corpses, Xiantian water, and some level 6 and level 7 weapons, armors, flying swords, and secret techniques that Senior needs. The total price is 70 Dao Rhymes. 70 Dao Rhymes? Tsing Hui was slightly stunned. The 2 primordial spirit chi were worth 38 Dao Rhymes, the golden light technique was worth 20 Dao Rhymes. These 2 added together would be 58 Dao Rhymes. Plus other miscellaneous items, he only used 70 Dao Rhymes. Tsing Hui estimated that he would have to use 75 to 78 Dao Rhymes, which would use up all the 123 Dao Rhymes he had. Senior is a member of the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. If you trade in the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, you will definitely enjoy a discount. After deducting these discounts, the goods that were originally worth 80 Dao Rhymes will be worth 70 Dao Rhymes. Qing Su did not think too much about it when he heard that. Didn't he see that Master Cangzhen, Master Zhu Zhao, and the others also had a huge discount when they wanted to buy primordial spirit chi? If it weren't for these benefits, how could Tianqiong keep those almighty experts who had achieved some success in their cultivation? A cultivator's gratitude was not everything. 70 Dao Rhymes items. Take care of them. Qing Su took out all the treasures that contained the way. Of course, I trust Senior Dong Yang. Gong Xing did not even look at them. He put them all into his bag. Seeing this, Tsing Hui smiled. I will send the items to the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce in a few months. At that time, I will ask for a spiritual imprint from you at the Chaos Temple. Yes, Senior. You can send them whenever you have time. We trust you. Tsing Hui nodded. Then I won't stay any longer. Goodbye. Senior, please go ahead. If you have time, please visit the Galaxy Chamber of Commerce's president's personal space. I will if I have the chance. Qing Su said. In the next moment, he vanished, turning into a gust of wind. Before he could disperse, Wu Tsushu's hand had already pressed down on him, causing him to vanish. After Tsing Hui left, Wu Chu looked at Gong Xing in confusion. President Gong, the price of the items just now was 78 Dao Rhymes. Even if he used his 6th order authority to ask for a discount, it would still cost 75 Dao Rhymes. Now that you sold him 77 Dao Rhymes, what about the remaining 5? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to answer the president's questions? Don't worry, the president won't punish me. On the contrary, it won't take long for me to be promoted from Marshal Desolate City and go to a more prosperous branch to be the president. How? Gong Xing glanced at Wu Chu. He had worked with Wu Chu more than once. Coupled with Senior Dong Yang's relationship, he did not hide anything and said slowly, Senior Dong Yang's identity and cultivation are far more terrifying than we thought. If I'm not wrong, he is at least a peak saint who has cultivated the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. It's time. Do you still have tickets? You just need to log in to get a free recommendation ticket. Chapter 276. Peak Saint, Lawful Embodiment of Heaven and Earth. Wu Chu's expression changed when he heard that. Moreover, after thinking about it carefully, he no longer had any doubts. Someone who could be on the same level as an expert could only be an expert who was on the same level. Since Tsing Hui could get Firmament Master to send someone to deliver goods, he was most likely someone who was on the same level as Firmament Master. What else could he be if he was not at the peak of the Saint Realm? If we can get such a peak existence to join our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, Wu Chu immediately understood the pros and cons, and said enviously, President Gong Xing is really lucky to have met such a person. Even if the president knows that you gave him a higher discount because of a person at the peak of the Saint Realm, he will never hold you accountable and will even praise you. If you can recruit this person to our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce, it will be a great contribution. Even the high-level elders of the Myriad Star sect behind our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce will reward you handsomely, and you may even have a chance to reach the Gold Core stage in the future. Reaching the Golden Core realm was the lifelong pursuit of more than 90% of cultivators. Once one reached the Golden Core realm, one's lifespan would be at least 1,000 years. If one was good at health, it was not impossible to live for 2,000 or 3,000 years. Longevity referred to the Golden Core realm. Hearing Wu Chu mention the Golden Core realm, a faint smile appeared on Gong Xing's face. That's nothing. The peak of the Saint Realm, heavenly transformation, is actually just a guess of mine. Do you know if there's anything else besides some soul energy amongst the good Sky Master sent over? President Gong Xing, please enlighten me. A sword. As Gong Xing spoke, his eyes involuntarily revealed a hint of awe. A legendary sword named Condensing Light. What? Condensing Light. The condensing light that Master Zhu Zhao almost used to reach the Tao. Wu Chu stepped forward and asked. That's right, condensing light. Condensing light. That's the supreme divine sword that Master Zhu Zhao valued the most. It contains his lifelong understanding of cultivation. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's a sword of inheritance. Master Zhu Zhao has always valued such a divine sword. Even his best disciples don't have the chance to borrow it. Now, Senior Dong Yang has borrowed it. Is Senior Dong Yang really that important? Isn't that so? I was also shocked when I found out about this. Moreover, you said that Senior Dong Yang borrowed the light condensation sword to comprehend the torch dragon Tao within it? Wrong. According to the information revealed in Senior Dong Yang's words, Senior Dong Yang has already walked his own path. Even if the torch dragon Tao of the light condensing sword belongs to esteemed Zhu Zhao, it is only a reference for him. His cultivation doesn't need the many insights in the light condensing sword. Hiss. Gong Xing's words made Wu Chu gasp. Esteemed Zhu Zhao was the #1 expert in the firmament realm. He had long surpassed the Saint Realm and was an invincible existence who suppressed an era. How could the torch dragon Tao of such an invincible existence only serve as a reference for him? How powerful was Senior Dongyang himself? The divine domain. There was a high chance that Senior Dongyang really was an invincible powerhouse who had stepped into the divine domain. No wonder, no wonder. Let's not talk about recruiting such a giant to our Galaxy Chamber of Commerce. Just being on good terms with him would bring us great benefits. Quick, quick, quick. Let's inform the president of our speculations about Senior Dongyang's identity and strength, and then let the president report it to the Myriad Star sect. If this matter is done well, President Gong Xing, I'm afraid you'll have a meteoric rise. As Wuxia spoke, he was sincerely envious. Gong Xing's face was also full of smiles, as if he could already see his bright and limitless future. In the palace of the Life League, Xing Hui opened his eyes. 5 strands of primordial spirit qi. He clenched his fist, and a mysterious crystal with a purple halo appeared in his hand. His gaze lingered on the 5 strands of primordial spirit qi for a moment, then Xing Hui turned to the level 12 divine sword, the light condensing sword. Level 12 divine swords were usually divine weapons carried by powerful experts. In the entire Eastern Barren territory, there was no divine weapon of this level. Unfortunately, there was a large amount of sword essence comprehension left behind by Venerable Zhu Zhao in this divine sword. As long as Xing Hui could not fully comprehend these sword essences, he would not be able to control this level 12 divine weapon and display its destructive power. The incarnation skill is extremely draining on the cultivator's essence, qi, and spirit, and this kind of consumption is not ordinary. It's like completely exhausting one's strength in the form of an overdraft. The aftereffects are really a headache. He stowed the green ruined sword away. He wanted to use the qi of his soul to refine his mind as quickly as possible, but due to his current state of weakness, he was powerless even if he wanted to. All he could do was wait patiently. Fortunately, 10 days was not a long time. In the blink of an eye, Xing Hui's essence, qi, and spirit had mostly recovered. Although he had not reached his peak, he could already carry out his daily cultivation and comprehension of cultivation methods. Relying on his level 5 perception, he was able to faintly grasp the essence of the golden light technique, a secret technique that was extremely difficult to cultivate. On the 24th day, Qing Su stood up and stepped out of the cultivation room. Suddenly, a fiery light flashed across his body, and in the next moment, he appeared 60 meters away with a flash. Afterwards, he turned into a fiery light and stood 120 meters away again. This kind of flying process was slightly jerky at the beginning, but when he circled around the courtyard outside the cultivation room, the speed of his movement technique was so fast that it was like moving clouds and flowing water. There was no delay at all. The movement technique has improved a lot, but compared to Grand Elder Qin Zhen's walk to the heavens, it's still inferior, Xing Hui thought. However, he was not discouraged. At present, he had only cultivated the first layer of the golden light technique. This layer only corresponded to the spirit refining realm. When he cultivated the second layer, third layer, and fourth layer of the golden light technique, he would not be inferior to Grand Elder Qin Zhen's walk to the heavens. He might even be superior. After all, in order to display the greatest power of walk to the heavens, he had to awaken the Kunpeng bloodline and cultivate the Kunpeng qi. Although Grand Elder Qin Zhen's Kunpeng bloodline was also good at speed, it was inferior to a real Kunpeng. This walk to the heavens secret technique naturally could not be compared to the golden light technique, which had the bloodline of the golden crow. The recovery of level 6 is more useful than I thought. In less than a month, my condition has almost completely recovered. Then, I have to make a trip to the Chongzhen continent. If I delay any longer, I'm afraid that this deal of at least 30 Dao ripples profit will go down the drain. Xing Hui thought and immersed his spirit into the primal chaos temple to contact Xian Long. Not long after, Xian Long and Yu Yan reappeared in Xing Hui's personal space. Looking at Yu Yan, Xing Hui said indifferently, I have already prepared the things you need. Give me your spiritual imprint and I will let that mysterious expert descend to your Chongzhen continent. So fast. Yu Yan was slightly startled. Then, she said nervously, I wonder if Sir can wait for me for another day. Just one day will do. Wait for you, Yu Yan, what kind of person is our alliance master and behind him? How can we waste time because of your matter? Since that senior has already made the preparations and needs your spiritual imprint, you should quickly give it to our alliance master and let him pass it to that senior. Do you think that other than our alliance master, you can buy the corpse of a sacred beast bright bird for 30 Dao ripples from other channels. Xian Long, who was at the side, saw that Yu Yan was still making excuses even at this time. Immediately, he said with dissatisfaction. One day. One day, just give me one day. Senior, please make an exception. Yu Yan looked at Xing Hui and pursed her lips. However, her expression was quite resolute. Xing Hui glanced at Yu Yan. This little girl was indeed extremely cautious. If he didn't agree, he was afraid that this transaction would go down the drain. Considering the huge profits in this transaction, Xing Hui made a concession and said, "All right, one day it is. You can leave now. Thank you for your understanding, Alliance Master." "Thank you, sir." Yu Yan thanked Xing Hui again and again. Then, she bowed and left Xing Hui's personal space. Once Yu Yan left, Xian Long immediately said with guilt and fear, "I'm sorry, Alliance Master. I didn't think that this woman would be so ignorant. Alliance Master has already prepared the things and can look for her for the transaction. Yet, she still made excuses. It doesn't matter. It's better to be safe than sorry. I reckon that it's because of her cautious attitude that she was able to sit on so many Dao auras without attracting a fatal disaster." After saying that, Xing Hui said to Xian Long, "You can leave as well." "Yes." Xian Long respectfully bowed and retreated. After Xian Long left, Xing Hui's eyes flashed with light. Although Yu Yan appeared to be extremely cautious, the real caution and precaution was not to have any contact with the outside world. She wanted to make a deal with others, yet she was so overcautious. Wasn't it the same as revealing 300 taels of silver here and there? Thinking about what Xian Long said, Yu Yan was said to be less than 25 years old. Some of her thoughts were somewhat childish. It was reasonable for her to do such a thing. It seems the primal chaos inheritance that Xian Long chose for me is not simple, Xing Hui thought to himself. Then, he immersed his mind and began to comprehend the second layer of the art of golden light. A day passed by quickly. At noon on the second day, Yu Yan respectfully presented a spiritual imprint to Xing Hui. Then, she looked at him uneasily. Xing Hui did not waste any time and asked her to go back and wait. After an hour, he used her spiritual imprint as a guide and instantly activated the incarnation technique, directly projecting this incarnation. Although the Chongzhen continent was rather far away from Tianhuang continent, it was only 6 million kilometers away compared to the eastern wastelands. The cost of projecting to the Chongzhen continent through the avatar technique was far less than what Qing Su had imagined. Accompanied by flowing light and spatial changes, Xing Hui followed the spiritual imprint and revealed himself with another identity. He directly appeared in a dense forest. This forest was filled with an ancient and boundless aura. Clearly, there were very few traces of humans here. "Senior," as Xing Hui revealed his incarnation, a somewhat nervous voice sounded in front of him. Qing Su glanced in the direction of the voice, and he happened to see an ordinary-looking girl looking at him with unease and anticipation. He did not even need to guess to know that she was the person he was going to trade with this time, Yu Yan. Chapter 277. This woman, Xing Hui looked at Yu Yan in front of him. Although she looked ordinary, Xing Hui could tell that she had changed her appearance. Her true appearance was not the same as what she showed. Even though her disguise was rather great, Qing Su was still able to see through her laughable disguise with a single glance due to the limitations of her cultivation and knowledge. Yu Yan looked at Xing Hui's incarnation carefully for a moment. Seeing that his incarnation was the most ordinary incarnation, and that his battle strength was at most equivalent to the awakening realm, she let out a sigh of relief. Her heart that was filled with fear gradually calmed down. "Senior, these are the items that I use to carry Dao with a total of 38 Dao rhythm. Please take a look." Xing Hui looked at the items that Yu Yan took out one by one. With the help of the primal chaos shrine, he calculated a little and nodded. "Not bad, 38 Dao rhythm. After speaking, he waved his hand. A mid-grade rank 5 flying sword and the corpse of the four-eyed bird, which had reached the rank 9 sacred beast, appeared at the same time and landed on the ground. Seeing the Saint Realm four-eyed bird and the rank 5 flying sword, Hunyuan was pleasantly surprised. Great, with this Saint Realm four-eyed bird's corpse, I can comprehend the profoundness on it at any time. After comprehending the profoundness, I can even extract the essence and blood from its body and consume it. With this, I can easily step into the peak of the spirit refining realm if the conditions permit. It would not be difficult for me to step into the spirit chi unification realm and become the overlord of spirit chi unification. After being pleasantly surprised for a moment, she noticed that Xing Hui was still here. She quickly bowed respectfully. Many thanks, Senior. This transaction can be considered as completed. I hope that we will have the opportunity to work together again in the future. I have 2 four-eyed bird corpses in my hands. This one is only at the rank 9 realm, and the second one is at the rank 10 realm. If you need it, I can sell it to you for another 30 Dao rhythm. Xing Hui said. There is another rank 10 four-eyed bird corpse. Hunyuan held her breath and was about to agree impatiently. However, she seemed to have thought of something and quickly said, although I want to buy the corpse of the respected bright bird from Senior, I really don't have so much Dao aura on me. Senior, please forgive me. Xing Hui glanced at Hunyuan. From the subtle changes in her emotions, he could easily infer that the Dao-carrying object on Hunyuan's body was definitely more than what she had shown. He really didn't know what kind of fortuitous encounter she had. Since you don't need it, forget it. Farewell, Senior. Hunyuan respectfully saluted. He seemed to be very respectful, as if he was sending Xing Hui off, but in fact, he wanted to see Xing Hui leave with his own eyes, lest his incarnation stay behind and cause a series of troubles. This woman must have a big secret. Xing Hui's eyes flashed with an obscure light. To prevent her from having any suspicions, he immediately dissipated this incarnation. Seeing Xing Hui turn into a hurricane of vitality and disappear, Hunyuan heaved a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted off her shoulders. Then, she immediately put the corpse of the four-eyed bird into her personal space and quickly turned to leave the forest. For safety's sake, she even cleaned up all the traces she left behind along the way before leaving. She didn't dare to be careless. Men. After dispersing his avatar, Qing Su ignored his weakness and directly entered his personal space. At the same time, he sent out a secret order, find a son of chaos from the Chongjian continent for me. As long as he's willing to provide a mental imprint for me, I'm willing to give him a class 6 god artifact as a reward. This needs to be done secretly. The Sons of Chaos from the Life League who received the order responded in unison and did as they were told. Ask Blazing Glory to buy me a set of information about the Chongjian continent from the Divine Secret Pavilion. The more detailed, the better. After issuing the order, Xing Hui left the Chaos Temple. This time, he didn't spend much time on the trip to the Chongjian continent. In addition, the distance was less than 6 million kilometers. He would only be in a weakened state for 3 days and fully recover in 10 days. During this time, Xing Hui didn't relax and continued to comprehend the second level of the art of golden light. As his cultivation base was far above the second level of the art of golden light, Xing Hui quickly grasped it even though it was difficult to cultivate and comprehend. Just as Xing Hui was about to fully comprehend the second level of the art of golden light, Madame Zhuyu, who was in charge of the Life League, came to report, Alliance Leader, the warship that left the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and rushed to our Life League has arrived at Moon Lake Island. So what if they've arrived? Do you need to ask me for permission for such a small matter? Xing Hui said indifferently. This, according to Elder Qin Yun, who escorted the warship, there are prisoners on one of the warships. How should we deal with these people? Prisoners? Xing Hui immediately understood who Madame Zhuyu was referring to. He pondered for a moment and said, bring them to the hall to see me. Yes. Madame Zhuyu responded and quickly withdrew. Xing Hui tidied up and headed to the hall. When he arrived, Elder Hunyuan and Sect Master Maha, who had heard the news, were already waiting there with Bei Zhonghua, Elder Zhuri, and Erisher Yudo. After nearly a month of turbulence, the three looked haggard, especially Erisher Yudo. It was unknown whether it was because she had been imprisoned in a cabin or for some other reason, but her originally incomparably white and pretty face was even paler. Coupled with her seemingly helpless and delicate appearance, anyone who saw her couldn't help but feel pity for her. But, Xing Hui, who knew Erisher Yudo quite well, understood that Erisher Yudo's delicate and pitiful appearance was just a disguise to protect herself. If one really thought that she was a weak and delicate woman, one would be gravely mistaken. Seeing Xing Hui arrive, the delicate expression on Erisher Yudo's face became even more delicate, while Bei Zhonghua and Elder Zhuri shrunk their necks with a trace of fear in their eyes. They didn't know what kind of future awaited them. Xing Hui's gaze swept past the three and landed on Sect Master Maha. Recently, is there any bone that is difficult to chew in our life league? There is an island called Golden Edge Island. The island master of Golden Edge Island, Xian Tai Sanren, is a famous great sword cultivator. He is ranked 6th on the Divine Dragon list and is unparalleled for a period of time. Especially since he has mastered several powerful sword techniques, his attacks are unparalleled. Furthermore, Golden Edge Island itself isn't a small island. It has more than 10 spirit and chi unity experts and hundreds of spirit refining cultivators. Before the other leaders return, we really don't dare to make a move on him. Sect Master Maha replied truthfully. Good, then attack Golden Edge Island with all our strength. Let him be the vanguard. Xing Hui glanced at Bei Zhonghua and ordered indifferently. Sect Master Maha immediately understood Xing Hui's meaning and said, "This subordinate understands. When the time comes, this subordinate will personally supervise the battle and let him charge at the front line." Bei Zhonghua seemed to have already seen his end. His face was pale with fright as he screamed in horror, "Grand Elder Xing Hui, you can't do this to me. I'm a true disciple of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. You can't do this to me. The Sea-Suppressing Palace's duty is to suppress the overseas territories and expand the territory of the Hunyuan Heaven sect. As a member of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, you naturally have to contribute your own strength. Of course, expanding the territory is fraught with difficulties. Moreover, blades and swords have no eyes. No one can guarantee that there won't be any injuries. If a jar doesn't break when it leaves the well, it's inevitable that a general will die before the battle." Xing Hui glanced at Bei Zhonghua and was too lazy to explain further. "Take him away. If he dares to slack off, he will be punished as a traitor and killed on the spot." "Yes." An elder stepped forward and shouted loudly. He grabbed Bei Zhonghua and almost half-dragged him out of the hall. Elder Zhuri. Xing Hui's gaze fell on Elder Zhuri. Elder Zhuri, who was already in a panic, felt his legs go soft when he heard Xing Hui's shout. He almost couldn't stand firm. "Grand Elder Xing Hui, please give me a way out on account of how difficult it is for me to cultivate." "Of course there is a way out. Otherwise, you would have already died when you left the Hunyuan Heaven sect. Every year, you will be given alchemy tasks. If you complete these tasks, you can live. If you can't complete them, complete. I will do my best to complete the tasks Grand Elder has given me. Even if I die in alchemy, I won't hesitate." Zhuri hurriedly shouted as if he had grasped onto a life-saving straw. Xing Hui's expression was indifferent. He didn't say anything. In the end, his gaze fell on Erisher Yudo again. Big brother Xing Hui, Lan Yutong looked at Qing Su with her mouth agape. Her face was filled with misery. Zhuri also has alchemy as a skill that can save his life for the time being. As for you, I naturally won't kill you. As fellow disciples, we should love each other. Since you have chosen to follow Bei Zhonghua, you naturally have to follow him. He will help our sea-suppressing hull attack Golden Edge Island. You can go with him. Erisher Yudo turned pale when she heard that Tsing Hui wanted her to go to the front line of the attack on Golden Edge Island. She hurriedly said, "Big brother Tsing Hui, in fact, I had my reasons for what happened back then." You had your reasons for stealing the Hunyuan Heaven Sect's inner disciple token, but did you also have your reasons for sending Yuan Yang to kill me? Lan Yutong sorrowfully said, "Brother Qing Su, I really didn't know anything about Yuan Yang. It was all because he acted on his own, thinking that he could use this method to gain my favor. We've been childhood friends since we were young, and we grew up together. We're as close as siblings, so I treat you as my idol. No matter how cruel I am, I would never harm Brother Qing Su's life." Tsing Hui shook his head when he saw Erisher Yuto's bitter performance. She even repeatedly mentioned their innocent childhood. He didn't want to continue arguing with her. Take her away and let her accompany Bei Zhonghua to Golden Edge Island. Chapter 278. Xian Tai Sanren, the master of Golden Edge Island, was ranked 6th on the Divine Dragon list. In the entire Hunyuan Heaven sect, only Tsing Hui, Lord Zhenhai, and Ling Yu were confident of defeating him. If Ling Yu and Lord Zhenhai wanted to defeat him, they could only rely on the divine art. Aside from the divine art, the two of them might not be a match for Xian Tai Sanren. In the face of such a powerful enemy, the outcome of letting Bei Zhonghua and Erisher Yudo be the vanguard could be imagined. After giving the order, Tsing Hui didn't pay too much attention to this matter. At this time, there was a response to the task he had given in the Chaos Temple. He separated a part of his consciousness and directly appeared in the personal space of the Chaos Temple. Seeing Tsing Hui, Lord Zhenhai and Yan Huang, who were waiting there, immediately came up to him. "My lord, I found the spirit imprint you wanted. The mysterious person behind you can send his incarnation down at any time in 10 days. Good." Tsing Hui nodded. "Well done. Protect my senior sister Nalan in the Hunyuan Heaven sect. I won't forget to reward you when I return. It's my honor to work for the Alliance Master. How would I dare to ask for benefits from the Alliance Master?" Lord Zhenhai hurriedly said modestly, but his eyes were full of unconcealable joy. The identity of the mysterious Almighty behind Qing Su had almost been confirmed. Apart from the fact that he had yet to show himself, the weapons he had been sending over and his mastery of the incarnation technique were all evidence. With such a powerful backer, the Life Alliance would never have to worry about not being able to prosper. King Zhenhai would never have to worry about not being able to make a name for himself if he followed the Alliance Master of Qing Su. "Okay, bring that person to see me." "Yes." Lord Zhenhai quickly went down. Soon, he appeared in front of Tsing Hui with a man with a weak aura, who was only at the true Qi realm. "President, this is Sun Qi, a cultivator from the Chongzhen continent's flowing fire sect." The man, Sun Qi, hurriedly bowed. "Greetings, President. Very good, follow my spirit imprint. Someone will soon come to find you. Go to a secret place and keep it a secret." "Yes." Sun Qi replied respectfully and quickly handed over his spiritual imprint. Qing Su nodded. After King Zhenhai left with Sun Qi, Yan Huang passed over a set of detailed information. "Sir, this is the information on the Chongzhen continent that we've purchased. Due to the fact that we don't know the exact level of every single cultivator, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion only asked for a single aura. Also, I've contacted Xian Long. He wants to purchase information on that person called Yu Yan from the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, but the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion doesn't sell any information on the Sons of Chaos to the public. It's good to have information about the Chongzhen continent." Tsing Hui said and took the jade talisman. As for the matter of Yu Yan's information, Tsing Hui did not harbor any hope. The Divination Pavilion did not sell any information about the Son of Chaos. Of course, the Son of Chaos had already exposed his identity in the real world, so it was another matter altogether. The Chongzhen continent is indeed a small continent. Xing Hui glanced at the jade talisman and laughed involuntarily. My lord is right. Although the Chongjian continent is only 29 million kilometers away from the Heaven Wasteland domain, its cultivation is really not outstanding. Many cultivators of the Chongjian continent even choose to take the risk of crossing the sea to the Dao-seeking continent, which is 3 million kilometers away, to seek opportunities on the Dao-seeking continent. The Dao-seeking continent? The Dao-seeking continent is 8 million kilometers away from our eastern wilderness. It's also a medium-sized continent, and its cultivation level is about the same as our eastern wilderness. However, this continent is constantly at war, and its ability to mobilize for war is inferior to our eastern wilderness. Xing Hui nodded and soon stopped asking. Soon, he had flipped through most of the information on the Chongjian continent. For a moment, he could not help raising his head and looking toward the sea. The sea is really the greatest sin that obstructs the communication of human civilization. Given the small Chongjian continent's power, if any of our eastern wilderness sects were to go there, they would be able to destroy the Chongjian continent and become the ruler of the continent, right? Indeed, there are less than 10 famous prominent saint experts on the Chongjian continent. Although for some reason, there are many sons of chaos on that continent, and there are more than 10 people who are comparable to prominent saint experts with the power of divine arts, it is not difficult for any of the 10 great sects to destroy them. Even the Green Lotus Sword sect, which is ranked among the 10 great sects because of the Green Lotus Divine Sword, is no exception. As Yan Huang spoke, a smile appeared on his face. However, it is precisely because of the obstruction of the sea that the endless wars between humans can be stopped. If not for this, the Chongjian continent would not have waited for our eastern wilderness to act, and would have been annexed by the Dao-seeking continent long ago. Xing Hui nodded. The Dao-seeking continent standard was similar to that of the eastern wilderness, and its sea distribution was similar to that of the eastern wilderness. Once they were 100,000 kilometers away from their own sea, the number of powerful sea beasts would immediately increase. If a saint expert could not form a group or did not have a top-notch warship, they would not have the confidence to cross the 3 million kilometer distance between them and the Chongjian continent. Although the Chongjian continent is a small continent, that refers to its cultivation level. In terms of area, the diameter of this continent is more than 200,000 kilometers, and the longest point is 290,000 kilometers. Just as Xing Hui finished reading the information on the Chongjian continent and was about to set off, a piece of news came. A while later, Qing Su appeared in another room he had created in his personal space. With a flash of light, a figure appeared closely behind him. It was the member of the Divination Pavilion who belonged to the same dawn as Xing Hui, Heaven's Inquisition. Your Excellency Pak Hui, long time no see. Your Excellency Heaven's Inquisition, may I know why you are here? Not long ago, I learned that Your Excellency Pak Hui is looking for information on the Chongjian continent. I have some private information here. Although it has not been verified, it is quite valuable. I wonder if Your Excellency Pak Hui is interested. Xing Hui glanced at Heaven's Inquisition and frowned. He faintly blamed Blazing Glory for not doing his job well. Heaven's Inquisition actually found out about it. However, thinking of the Divination Pavilion's extremely powerful intelligence, he did not reveal anything. He just said, "May I know what information it is?" This information is from some ancient books that I have sorted out and deduced from the clues in those ancient books. Because I am not absolutely confident and have no ability to verify it, I can only sell it. I can only tell Your Excellency Pak Hui that if these deductions are true, they can at least bring Your Excellency Pak Hui hundreds of Daoist rhymes. And Your Excellency Pak Hui only has to pay 10 Daoist rhymes to get this information. Hundreds of Daoist rhymes. Xing Hui's pupils shrank slightly. Even an almighty who had the incarnation technique could only earn 20 to 30 Daoist rhymes a year. If they were lazy, they could only earn 10 Daoist rhymes at most. Hundreds of Daoist rhymes were definitely enough to cause those almighties to fight for it. That's right. Hundreds of Daoist rhymes. Heaven's Inquisition nodded. In the end, he added, "Of course, my deduction is correct." My deduction is correct, this involved a possibility. Tsing Hui took a deep breath and calmed down. Tell me about it. So, Your Excellency Pak Hui intends to buy this information for 10 Daoist rhymes? At the very least, I need to confirm the credibility of this information. Heaven's Inquisition shook his head. I can't tell Your Excellency Pak Hui about this. Otherwise, Your Excellency Pak Hui will easily guess something. However, Your Excellency Pak Hui only needs to pay 10 Daoist rhymes to have the hope of earning hundreds of Daoist rhymes. No matter how you look at it, Your Excellency Pak Hui can be considered a huge profit. Why don't you take a gamble? Tsing Hui looked at Heaven's Inquisition. He could not help but think of Yu Yan, who he had just completed a transaction with not long ago. The number of Daoist rhymes on that woman was definitely not as simple as 38. Perhaps, thinking of this, Tsing Hui immediately agreed, I accept this transaction. 10 Daoist rhymes in exchange for your information. However, you have to ensure that the information is unique. Of course. As a member of the Divine Mystery Pavilion, I must have professional integrity. Otherwise, the sword-bearer behind the Divine Mystery Pavilion will be the first to come after me. As Heaven's Inquisition spoke, he took out a prepared contract. Your Excellency Pak Hui, please take a look. Tsing Hui glanced at it. After confirming that there were no abnormalities, he signed his name. Whenever you're free, you can just come to the sea. Of course, we trust Your Excellency Pak Hui. As Heaven's Inquisition spoke, he took out a jade talisman with a smile and handed it to Tsing Hui. When Tsing Hui took the jade talisman and flipped through it, Heaven's Inquisition explained, Your Excellency Pak Hui should have heard of the War of Chaos, right? I know a little about it, but it's not very detailed. The War of Chaos refers to the selection of 10 people by the initiator of the war. They will establish a level of chaos as the qualification to enter the battlefield. The 10 people who meet the requirements will represent the forces of chaos behind them and enter the battlefield of chaos. The outbreak of this war is completely dependent on Daoist rhymes and the level of chaos. The outbreak of this war has very little to do with the strength of the cultivator. What can be relied on is the level of chaos. The higher the level of chaos, the greater the advantage. Therefore, in order to ensure victory in the war of chaos, the initiator of the war will often prepare thousands of Daoist rhymes to determine the level of chaos at the end of the war according to the changes in the battlefield. What determines the outcome of the war is not one's strength, but the level of chaos. Tsing Hui was slightly stunned. That's right. This war itself breaks out at the level of the Chaos Temple. The loser's body will not be damaged at all. He will only be stripped of his qualification as the son of chaos. Therefore, the focus of the war is naturally the level of chaos. Otherwise, why would it be called the War of Chaos? Everyone will fight to the death in the real world. The level of the Chaos Temple. How do the battles at the level of the Chaos Temple? I remember that the bodies of those in the Chaos Temple are, without exception, equivalent to the standard of an ordinary person. The only difference between them is the spiritual level. But in terms of spiritual level, unless the gap is very large, it is impossible to shake the will of the other party. That's why I said that the outbreak of this war has very little to do with the strength of the cultivator. Unless there is a difference of 30 to 40 levels of spiritual level between the two parties and they have mastered spiritual secret techniques, otherwise, even a peak saint-level almighty will not be able to do anything to a golden core cultivator. In a situation where one's physical strength is almost useless, the ability given by the level of chaos becomes very important. Using the ability given by the level of chaos properly is the key to victory in the war of chaos. If one does not know how to use these abilities together, even 10 almighty will not be able to defeat 10 saint-level experts in the war of chaos. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.